Welcome to Snowmobile Sessions Live on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms. It's the #1 destination to learn about snowmobiling, network with other sledders, and have an awesome time doing it. We'll meet other snowmobilers that share your passion and show your fan photos along the way. Snowmobile Sessions Live. Enjoy the ride.
This episode of Snowmobile Sessions Live is brought to you by Energy Power Sports. They're Oakville's full-line BRP dealer with sales and service to all BRP models and so much more. Energy Power Sports always has the fun in store with a wide selection of clothing, parts, and accessories for all your power sports passions. Make Energy Power Sports your source for Can-Am off-road, ATV, and side-by-sides. Can-Am on-road Ryker and Spyder, including the sporty F3S, Sea-Doo watercraft, and Switch pontoon boats, and Alumacraft fishing boats powered by Mercury Marine. Put yourself on a Manitou pontoon or a Widescape stand-up snowmobile. Energy Power Sports is the home for Lynx and Ski-Doo snowmobiles for the entire family. Do you feel the energy? Energy Power Sports, 879 Cranberry Court, Oakville, Ontario, or online, energypowersports.ca.
All right. We're here with Brett McDowell from Marlon Products. How you doing tonight, Brett?
Hey, I'm doing great, Gary. Thanks very much.
That's good. Are you getting lots of riding in this time of year?
Well, if you ask my wife, yes. If you ask me, not nearly enough.
I think that goes with everybody. I don't care if you're riding mountains or trails or what you're doing. That's the typical answer. So just this is our second last episode of season 3. So thank you for being here. It's our last episode with a guest. Next week, we're just going to get a couple of friends and fans on screen with us. I think Wisco said he's in. I want Massard around. I want Sexy Eyes on board. We got to get Wisco Side Chick in the house. Everybody that wants to come in to be on screen, what I want you to do is email the Fast Track Snowmobile Traction Products fan photo email, fanphoto@mudbrats.com, fanphoto@mudbrats.com. I'll set up the link. I'll send it out to you guys. And then next week we'll just sit around, drink a few beers and talk about the season that was and the season that never was and your highlights, your lowlights. And we're going to hear all about Massart blowing up 2 sleds in 10 minutes. Next week as well. So that'll be pretty good. You ever blown up 2 sleds like that before, Brett?
I've crashed 2 sleds in 10 minutes. Yes. I've never actually blown them up, but I've crashed them before. Yeah. It's always good to take a spare sled to the hill. And sometimes when you don't get out of the parking lot, it makes for an interesting story. Let's put it that way.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So you're from Marlon Products. So people that may not know what Marlon Products is all about, could you give us an idea of what your company's about?
Yeah, you bet I can, Gary. So Marlon's not just sled decks. Some people think that because that's what they have or that's what they've seen, but we are a distribution company. We're the largest distributor for caravan boat trailers and Shoremaster dock lift and hoist, period. And then we also have our own Marlon branded line, and that goes from sled decks to side-by-side decks to the single loader that we'll probably touch on a little bit going forward. And also our boat line, we have a line of John boats and utility boats. And we also have a utility line of trailers as well, mostly steel at this point, but getting into aluminum. We've got our new multi-trailers that we released last season, which is a combination of, hence the name multi, it's a combination of a snowmobile trailer. It can be a side-by-side trailer, a quad trailer, a bike trailer, moving your next door neighbor trailer, and soon to be some new additions and accessories that are coming onto that trailer. So it's kind of the Swiss Army knife of trailers. And it's we have a 10-foot single, a 10 and a 12-foot double, and they're tilt or drive on, back off. Pretty exciting for us. It's gone over really, really well. And then we have our ATV lineup. So we have some ATV trailers, some pull behind truck trailers, and so on and so forth. So yeah, lots to work with.
Very cool. What did Marlon started with boats, did it? And then it kind of transitioned into sled decks, and that's where it made it big, or what's the history?
More so, well, the company itself started in 1976, and then Bruce Cameron, the current owner now, Bought it in 1996 and has been running it since then, and brought decks on. Sled decks came on around, I'm going to say 2011, 2012, maybe a little bit earlier than that. But the Explorer line that really kind of kicked Marlon off came out in 2016. And that was the aluminum top deck. It was kind of industry leading at the time, and a bunch of different bells and whistles that other manufacturers didn't have. And the boats, I'm not 100% sure on the background history on the time frame on the boats, but the boats come out strong again in about 2017. I joined the company in January of 2017, and the boats were kind of making their comeback. Bruce had them in for a while, and then changed a few things and come back out with the new utility line and the upgraded John boat line. And honestly, it's gone through the roof. The boat business is a very big part of our business.
Right on. And that's really where we're at with Ontario right now, is we need boats.
You got it. Just go to briscoesupply.com.
We're putting our sleds away, and we need some Marlon boats. Let's see who's in the chat here tonight. Wisco Sledheads was in there first. He said, "What's up, fellas?" And then Massart followed in, and Wisco said, "Mr. Boom is here." So they're talking about their sleds. Rob Overholt says, "Good evening." Renegade X says, "Good evening, folks." We got some photos from his buddy Pro Polaris Rob to show tonight. Who else? Pro Polaris Rob's in the house. There we go. William McClearly. Bill says, "Good evening, everyone." Still sledding. He's off to Algonquin shelter tonight, looking for Gary's signature on the wall. Right on. That's great. And Brian Lynn from Slush Lake says, "Hey, everyone." And Wisco's wife, Sled Chick 96, says, "Sexy Eyes is ready to roll for next week." I love that. Massart are going to travel and be around on one screen, Wisco says. That's going to be cool. Kevin Levasseur from Koala Pieces, he's in the chat tonight. He sent me pictures. So we gotta show them. That was an awesome show last week. Corey Brock, our moderator, says, "Hey, everyone." 850 XCR says, "Howdy." And a few more just rolling in as we chat here. But the house is filling up fast. Wonder if there's a lineup around the corner. So yeah, as far as your background with snowmobiling and with the company, how does that all come into the fold here?
Well, I grew up in the prairies, so a bit of a flatlander, a ditch banger growing up, and moved out to the coast in '88, and then did a bunch of things between then and started. I bought Bulldog decks in 2007. And carried that on until 2017. So I ran for 10 years under Bulldog Deck banner. And then we joined Marlon, and like I said, in 2017. And things just gone up from there. So grew up flatland sledding, got into the mountain scene, obviously, when I come on board with the decks. And kind of always dabbled a little bit here and there, but got real serious about it in 2008. And then we started our own ambassador program back then, too, and had a bunch of great guys, Dan Davidoff and Rob Alford, and a bunch of other guys, Jeff Kyle, and a bunch of guys that I'm going to forget. So sorry, fellas. But we had a great team and pushed pretty hard, made some big waves, and had a great product and had a lot of fun. And honestly, along the way, I bought the company looking for something to do other than my other companies that was going to be more fun and more adventurous. And it certainly steered me in the right direction. We got to meet some great people and have just a lot of great adventures. And joining Marlon in 2017, just added to that. I mean, I look after new product development for the company, and I also look after distributor relations. So Marlon has 5 branch offices in Canada and the US, the newest one being in Madeira, California. And we're expanding, and we also have five distributors that I look after, a couple in the US, one in Canada, one in Chile, and then a new company, Dual Power Sports, out of Sweden, which is a very large company with a big outreach in the Baltics and in and throughout Europe. So needless to say, if I was looking for adventure, this was the right place to come. COVID kind of put a damper on that because it obviously pulled the reins in on the travel side of things. So I haven't been able to get out and about as much, but it did bring on the other side of that, which we all know was the COVID bubble, where everybody was buying everything to do with power sports and staying around home and enjoying it. So it made for a very, very busy time for manufacturing and distributing. Was very exciting on the new product development line, because we were scrambling to try and keep up with the sales and trying to come up with new products for the users, and getting out on my sled as much as I could. And I do ride quite a bit. I used to ride quite a bit more, but now I gotta sit at the desk a little bit and pay more attention in the shop a little bit more than I did before too. So it all balances out, and it's really good. But we have a great ambassador program with Marlon. We have the team of ambassadors that we have here is fantastic, and I do get, I'll call it a privilege, to go out with those guys and gals on a fairly regular basis and ride with them. And our product development is based on not only just our ambassadors and our riders, our pro riders, feedback, but also from the people that work at Marlon. We're all outdoor enthusiasts, from every product line that we make of our own, whether it be something for a side-by-side, a quad, the fishing boats, the utility, or the John boats into the utility boats, and the sled decks and beyond. We live, breathe, and do what we produce. So that I think in the grand scheme of things, that makes a big difference in our product line. I mean, we manufacture things that work based on our usage, and we're always tweaking. Like, that's my job, is every day I'm looking to make something, not always a sled deck, but every product we make, we're always looking to make changes to it. And how can we be different, and how can it be better? So that puts me out on my sled a fair bit doing that product development. And I always call it product development when I tell my wife I'm going out sledding. So that way she can't hold it against me. And I'm going to be in trouble when I get home, because she's the most understanding sled wife there is on the planet. She just never says don't go. She's very much in my corner and applauds me. So great. We work together really, 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 really well. So so that gets me out the door, like I said, a lot. And our terrain, I'm before the show looking out the window at Mount Sham at 6,800 feet, and they're snowing up there, and it's looking great. So I should probably go for a ride after this. But I mean, we live in the country where it's, the part of the country where we can do that. Our main sledding area is an hour and 15 minutes from my house at the top of the Coquihalla. And then Whistler, if I want to go north, is only with the new highway. It's an hour and 45 minutes, and I'm parked in Brandywine parking lot. So
nice. That's awesome. So with such a wide product line that Marlon has, from boats to utility trailers to hauling trailers to sled decks, how much innovation is there in the company? Is it constant engineering? And do you engineer your stuff in-house? Or are you basically a distributor?
We do all of the product line. Our Marlon branded products is all done in-house. We do use it outside. We outside source some of the FEA testing and stuff, just because it's more economical to do that. And I'm not that good with the computer, so I'll help create the CAD files, and we send the FEA testing out to a company in Ontario actually that does it for us. And then we use we do bounce a lot of stuff off the engineers at the factories. And that also helps as well. But our other products that we distribute for, like Caravan and Shoremaster, they look after their own stuff, and we are strictly just distribution for them. Not that we don't help them out too. We do work in conjunction on a lot of projects, and we do get great ideas between the companies back and forth. We help them with stuff, and they help us with stuff. So yeah, but mostly we have a team. I head up the new product development team, and there's 5 of us on the team from each different location. And the reason why we do that, it's very specific. It's not just because we, pick guys and said, you have to be on the team. These are guys that are qualified to be on the team, and they report back to myself and to Bruce. And on a monthly basis, every month we have a meeting, and then we do follow-up meetings throughout, our email chain between the two, or between the meetings. But what it does is, in a company like this with so many products, in different territories require different needs. So something that sells really good in Manitoba, in Winnipeg, where our office is in there, may not sell so good on the coast, or certainly may not sell so good in Madeira, California. So the team has to take all that information in, and we have to pick products. Unfortunately, we're to a point where we have to do basically large production. We can't do custom stuff, and we can't do small item stuff. The products that come, sometimes we get our great products, but they're just not going to work for all 5 locations and then our distributors. So we kind of got to stay somewhat mainstream and stay, to the things where the factories can build volumes and be efficient and keep our costs down and all the rest of it.
Nice. That's a good thing to know, that when you get into something, you're jumping in wholeheartedly. Absolutely. Not just 1 or 2 off and then see you later. So
Yep.
Well, you hear Marlon sled decks, but I out east here, I don't
Yep.
hear many other competitors. And you mentioned there's competitors in that segment. What do you think? Why do you think Marlon is so popular amongst the snowmobiles over other brands?
I think from the beginning, Bruce has done a really good job of marketing with the ambassador program, and I think that's been pretty key because there's got to be a reason why. I'll say I'm a Skidoo guy through and through, but I wave the flag proudly. But I will say that BRP's done a great job, in my opinion, of their ambassador program, and now the other OEMs, Yamaha has been at it for a while through Randy Swenson and a few of the guys, and then Polaris seems to be stepping up a little bit more as well. But Bruce just looked at them and said, hey, if those guys are doing it and it's working for them, I think we should do the same. So putting decks in the hands of the ambassadors and getting their feedback to see, use it for the year, and at any time during the year, come back with questions, problems, issues, let us know so we can change, make better. And at the end of the year, again, do the same thing. It's just worked really, really well. And Bruce is a wizard at marketing and getting product out there. So our business model as far as distribution and being able to get product to other areas of the world, not just Canada, that's gone a long way for sure.
Right on. Like, how do you think that Marlon helps snowmobilers with your products? Like, what do you see the biggest advantages for a snowmobiler, and why would they use your product?
Well, I think foremost are like the model with all of our products, but in particular with our sled decks, is safe, smart, and secure. And we come up with that a couple of years ago. And we if you look at our website, it's ingrained through our website, through descriptions of why we do what we've done, integrating the 60-inch LED light bar into the back of the decks. A unique look, yes, but safe. Works fantastic. The use of the super clamp products on our decks, for instance, again, safe, smart, secure. It's just, close the tailgate, lock it up. Whatever you got underneath there is good. Everything we do, and there was an issue that come up last week or 2 weeks ago now, where there was a young husband, father that passed away in Williams Lake, BC, had an accident on a sled ramp. It was a used ramp, and I think it had been maybe modified a bit. The ramp came off the load bar. When he was loading, he was helping out a buddy, and the ramp flipped off and somehow flipped back and hit him in the head, and he didn't have his helmet on, and it killed him. Very, very sad. You have two young kids. The family reached out to us. Global News reached out to us through some other things and said, what's going on in the industry? Is this preventable? So on and so forth. And we went through with them and said, our sled deck ramps have safety tabs on them, so this cannot happen. So that's just a small, and we're kind of rolling with that and helping them out. And the family really wants to spread the word, and we're fully behind them to say that we got to make this safe. I mean, unfortunately, one of the most dangerous parts about riding sometimes is the parking lot, getting on a trailer, getting off a trailer, getting on a deck, getting off a deck. It's just one of those things. When you do it in the morning, you're super excited to get going, and people make mistakes. At the end of the day, you get back and you're tired. It's dark. It's whatever. Things can happen there. So we do everything in our power to try and make the product as safe as possible. And it's got to look good as well while it's doing that. It's got to be functional, and it's got to look good. I mean, you're talking $100,000+ trucks now, and jeepers, don't tell my wife, but I paid $30,000 for my sled. I mean, There's a lot of money rolling down. So you don't want things sitting on a piece of plywood with old, paint falling off it and stuff like that. So we do pride ourselves on that as well. And yeah.
It's kind of intimidating. The guy that came to pick up my old sled, Roscoe, had the Marlon deck, just the easy loader ramp that you called it, in the back of the truck, and he set it down, and we put straps around it to the bar, the trailer hitch, and he told me to drive the sled on it. So you drive the sled just up it, and then you lift up the back and roll it in.
Right.
And it was intimidating to drive the sled up that steep incline, but it handled it like a boss.
Yeah.
How do you get over that? Is it just experience that, you see tons of videos where guys are brapping and they go right through their back window, and is that possible on your products, or is that how do you avoid that?
Well, yeah, it's definitely avoidable. It's funny you say that because back again a number of years ago when Dan Davidoff and I were doing a lot of work together, and Dan is one of the best guys out there. It was very, very, very upsetting when he passed away. Dan and I shot a video in Castlegar about this time of year, a number of years ago, where we kind of angled the camera so that you could see part of the ramp behind the sled deck, and he was going to load onto the ramp, and he actually hit it a little hot and jumped the truck on purpose. And we thought, we set it up so that it would do that. And we thought, wow, this is such a great idea. And then I kind of looked at it and I went, this is not such a great idea. No, we can't use this, Dan. I'm sorry. It was a great idea because it was exciting and cool, but I think my lawyer would have had a heart attack if we'd have went forward with that. But,
yeah, that's right. It's not an instructional video. It's entertainment.
So we do a lot of videos on with that in mind. We ask our ambassadors to do a lot. And if you look on our website, under the sled deck in the gallery, there is actually quite a few loading videos and going through how slow you can actually load and how, under control. And Colin does a great job of narrating through one on where to keep your head facing forward, going backwards once you've cleared the ramp and all that kind of stuff. And the single loader, like you were talking about, I made a video and did a point of slowing down at a certain point because it's a cantilever, and once you get weight forward and your skis are up over the back of the tailgate, if you look in the video and watch the bottom section of the single loader itself actually comes up off the ground about somewhere between 8 and 12 inches. So it actually decreases the degree, so the angle of the ramp significantly. You don't actually tell when you're loading it, but most people, after they've loaded it once or twice, they'll just honestly say, I can't believe how easy that is. Because once the lugs get onto the rungs themselves, and we have rung protectors on there to help with that, the sled just kind of not idles, but it goes up with not a lot of effort. And then it's like you say, you jump off, lift it up and roll it in. So. Yeah,
that's cool. No, I thought it was really good. You had mentioned that you had some, like, COVID kind of threw a wrench into your business model and how the business was running. How do you think Marlon adapted to the changes in the industry over the last few years?
Well, I think the biggest thing how we adapted was Bruce wasn't scared to step up at the time and order inventory. So we did actually really well through COVID. I'm not going to say we did like 100%, because there was some products that were out of our control that we didn't have, and some that just, we sold out, and it was tough to get product. So more of a supply and demand issue on parts and pieces than actual full manufacturing. But over COVID overall, we did really, really well. And it was, at the time, was it a gamble? Sure it was. I'm sure Bruce had a few sleepless nights when he was filling out those POs and going, which direction is the world going to go? Is everybody going to bury their head in the sand and we're going to be sitting on all this? But luckily, cooler heads prevailed and people decided, let's go enjoy life a bit. And it worked out really well.
Yeah, I think it probably worked in your favor for that. But were you affected by the supply chain issues a lot, or do you have enough control in your process that allows you to?
Yeah, like again, there was certain product lines that we carry that not necessarily are the Marlon branded products that we had some issues with, but our products themselves we were actually pretty good on. We were getting low at times, but we had enough things in the funnel that we were able to go through. And the supply part of it wasn't just parts and pieces. Some of it was actual logistics as well, and that plays a big part in our situation where we can drop ship product all over the world pretty easily. So when that system slowed down, there were some challenges there, but again, we were able to work through them pretty easily. Yeah.
Right on. Is it your sled decks that you see a lot of the mountain guys using? Is it just one version of that, or is there variations of the decks depending on what you want, like storage below, or like you said, tie down accessories, clamps, that kind of thing? Talk to me a bit about the product lines when you get into that detail.
Yeah, as far as the sled decks go, they're pretty standard. So the difference would just be mainly length, and that would be the 7 foot or the 8 foot. And that would strictly depend on what size of sled you're running. Would it be a 126 to a 129 to a 175? And the truck you're running as well would dictate the box length. With on a 6'2" Dodge, like a 5'8" crew cab or something like that, you're going to run a 7 foot. But then we also do the 2 foot extension that adds onto that 7-foot deck to make it 9 feet or a little over 9 feet. So we kind of got it covered that way as far as the decks go. Under storage, we don't have something. We're working on a couple things right now that are going to be pretty exciting. We don't have anything in place right now that's really, what we want to put our name behind yet. We do a lot of, when we come up with something, I can guarantee you one thing: we test it a lot, and it's got to make everybody in the company happy before it goes out the door. So there is a lot of product testing that's involved. And as far as the other side of it goes with the decks, our decks do come fully loaded. Like it comes with six rows of glides on it. It comes with the super track down the side and 4 anchors down the side, 2 front super clamps and 2 rear super clamps. We decided years ago to go to the full package and not have people have to kind of a la carte. Does it make a bit of a sticker shock when you're going to buy? I guess so, but then we put the onus on the dealer and the dealer's salesman, because then you got to explain to people, listen, you're buying, you don't need nothing else. You back your truck in, load it up, bolt it down, and you're gone. There's nothing else for you to buy for this.
Right now, is it a DIY product? Is it something you can order and install yourself?
Yeah.
Or do you have to have you can do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the dealers will have the decks assembled. They always come fully assembled. And then once you literally, like I say, you drive the truck in and they'll load it up with whatever means, forklift usually, into the truck. And some dealers will do an install for you and some kind of shy away from it. And I think it's just manpower issues, but it's literally on our website are the install instructions, very point by point how to do it. And it's very, very straightforward. It's designed for the DIY guy for sure.
Right on. That helps, right? When you're thinking about, it's probably a pretty big investment, I imagine, for a Marlon deck, and you want to make sure that sometimes there's no compensation. If you want it done right, you do it yourself, and a lot of these sled guys have that mentality, right?
Yeah. I think most sled guys are pretty handy with the wrench, and they do. I mean, we all buy stuff for our sleds, and we want to put it on ourselves. I mean, I don't typically spend too much money at a dealership for them putting accessories on my sled, because it's mine. I want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And what kind of dealer network do you have? Is it every BRP dealer? Is it Polaris dealers, or do you have like car and truck accessory places? What does your dealer network typically look like?
It's pretty broad. With having the 5 locations and then 5 distributors, especially back east with the Versco doing a great job in Eastern Canada. They've got a really good dealer network, and the territory belongs to whoever steps up to the plate first. We do believe in giving dealers territories, and it doesn't matter who you are, whether you be Skidoo, Polaris, what manufacturer you are, or the trailer guy, like you said. And on all honesty, the trailer guy tends to do better than most of the OEM branded companies, just I think simply because it's neutral ground. So you typically don't see the Yamaha guy going into the Skidoo dealership to buy a deck, and you might, but maybe not, and vice versa. But they will all go to the trailer guy and find a deck. So we do tend to try and spread it around. But again, we do like that dealers to have territory, because at the end of the day, everybody's got to make $1. So. Yeah,
that's true. Well, I know Energy had your easy loader decks here. They're a distributor for those, and I guess that's a small product that's easy for them to carry. It doesn't take up much real estate in their warehouse and that type of thing, and it's probably a better product suited for the eastern trail riding flatland market, right?
Sure. Yep. Yeah, the single loader doesn't take up, like you said, it doesn't take up a lot of space for the dealers, and it does suit a lot of situations, because when we originally come out with it, it was 48 inches wide, because really the push was when Versco come on board, and we've realized very quickly that Eastern Canada has a lot more half tons than they do Western Canada. Out here, you look around and it's hard to find a half ton. They're all 1 tons. So we don't really even think about throwing a sled deck on and 2 decks, but back there, I guess for insurance purposes and a bunch of other reasons, it's the half ton seems to be popular. So that kind of drove the single loader design to some degree. And the push was to get it back there. And then last year or the year before, we came out with the Mountain Edition, which is simply called the Mountain Edition because it's 42 inches wide instead of 48. So it'll fit into the 1/4 ton trucks and Tacomas and even the Jeep Gladiators and stuff like that. So it does a couple of things, and a lot of people don't realize the single loader is kind of three things in one. It's a ramp, it's a deck, and it's also a very good platform for moving your sled around when you get it inside. You can load back up in those 6 casters. You got to put it in your garage for the winter or whatever. You just load it on there and you can roll it around like, just like you got
that would work actually. Now I think of it, right? Because the ramp's in the back of the truck free. Back your sled off, take it out, drive your sled back on it, and you can push it around wherever you want.
Yep, you bet.
That's a brilliant idea. Well, that's the thing I was thinking about. That easy. Am I calling it right? An easy loader? Did you say it was?
Loader.
Single loader.
We call it the single loader. Yeah.
Yeah, the single loader. I mean, Whitetail Stables in the chat bought a snowmobile in Quebec, and he needed one, right? And then I went and picked up a sled, and it's like, do I really need to put my enclosed hybrid on the back just to grab one machine? Or if you want to go out for a quick trail ride by yourself, it's the single loader is a great product, and the price point I recall was really good on it. What is the MSRP on that product?
Oh, you're going to ask the guy that's new product development, Gary. Come on. We got like 15 different territories to add into. You're roughly kind of around $1,000, $1,100 Canadian. So.
That's what I was thinking. And it was on sale at Energy at the time I seen it. It was well under $1,000. So it's a great product, really good quality and simple to use. They demonstrate it in the parking lot at their open house, and everybody had to try it. There was a sled on it, loading it up into the trailer or into the back of the truck. I'm sorry. So that was really cool. Yeah. But there's a lot of chat going on about the weekend and that we had in Barry's Bay and the Avro Aero, and we got some pictures of that coming up. And nice. Do you want to have a look at some fan photos? And we'll keep the chat going on Marlon, but you want to have look at some shots?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Fan photos are brought to you by Fast Track Snowmobile Traction. This season, quit sliding sideways on the ice and losing races to your buddies. A Fast Track stud kit will help you with improved braking and give you the arm-ripping acceleration you crave. I put over 3,000 clicks last season on my Renegade 850, and I'll tell you, these studs exceeded my expectations. Not one broken stud, my idle wheels still look like new, and they hooked up like I was on rails in the twisties, inspiring confidence every ride. Fast Track Top Gun kits are the highest rated stud kit at 4.9 stars with over 230 reviews. The studs are heat treated stainless so they are strong and they don't rust. The kit is lighter, easier on the track, and has a lifetime warranty against breaking. Each kit comes with a track specific template for complete balance with over double the scratch lines from stock templates. All listeners when purchasing a stud kit can get a free install kit, a $30 value. Visit fasttrack.co, add both products to the cart, and use the coupon code SNOW at the checkout. That's fasttrac.co.
There we go. And now I got to get that up there like that. That's cool. Yeah, so we had a good weekend in Lake St. Peter, Barry's Bay. Thanks to Whitetail Stables for hooking us up with a great pad to stay at and right on the trail, and we had a good time. We went there Friday. It was pouring rain. We drove there. I swear I seen Moses building an ark when we got to Peterborough.
Hey, I was born in Peterborough.
And were you?
Yeah.
Right on. You know the area well then. And and it's like we went there and we sat in the house waiting for the rain to end, and it finally did, and we put our gear on. We went for a ride. It was still spitting. We were a little soaking wet, but this was that day. It was really good. And you know what? The trails weren't too bad. Little icy, little hard pack on Friday, but then Saturday we had a dusting of snow, and that helped immensely. So this is Saturday, and there's Bullwinkle 1 at the Avro Aero, which was cool. It was on my bucket list to see that monument. One of the test pilots for that. Yeah, isn't that cool? One of the test pilots lived in Barry's Bay. So there's a statue of the pilot and the Avro Aero, and it was a cool thing to see. Would have been greater if it was life size, but beggars can't beggars can't be choosers. So, and use your scratchers, Greg Kelly says, I hope. And yes, we put the Trailblazer scratchers from Koala Pieces on, and I'm telling you, those things are amazing. Drew kept on saying in the comms, like a snow chunk of ice came up and hit him in the head, or it landed on the console of the sled. It was kicking up that much ice, and I was running hot the whole weekend on mine without scratchers, and he's got a 1.6 Cobra, so they're horrible for cooling, and that thing stayed cool and collected the whole weekend. So very cool. So I've got video coming out on that as well, and we'll have a look at those. But Koala Pieces, we did a full test, which I put up today. We actually took these skis here and we swapped them with Whitetail Stables skis, and we had the Trek carbides on the one set, and then we had the Adventures on the other. And then halfway through the ride, a couple 100K into it, we flipped them back, and they both had the same opinion on the carbides. Loved them both, and they felt that the Treks do, like everybody was saying last week, feel like it has power steering, and the Adventures are just like a point and shoot. If you want your sled to go somewhere, you just think about it and turn it, and it goes. So very, very precise and good products for both of them. So that was a lot of fun doing the testing, and Kevin actually thanked me today when I put the video up, and I think the thing that blew me away the most was the scratchers. I'm not a scratch guy. Never had scratchers on a sled. I always, when I had my ice ripper, I studded it, to get more ice up in there. But now when I see those scratchers and how well they work, I'm putting a set on mine for sure, because it's made a huge difference. You must run scratchers in the mountains to get to where you're going, do you?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Some
guys throw 2 sets on, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah, just depending on where you're going. Again, getting at this time of year too. I mean, there is a lot of, we do ride in a lot of areas that aren't a sled club area. So sometimes the access in is, I'm going to make it sound, oh, woe is us in the mountains here. It's 25 kilometers to get to the Alpine. It's such a long way to go. And you guys go ride for 200-300 kilometers a day. But so yeah, we do have some overheating issues, and especially with the longer tracks and, all on 3-inch lugs, they do tend to heat up a little bit. So scratchers are a must. So. Yeah.
It's that's the thing. I don't know why I just never had tried the scratchers, but in this case here, I had a trial offer on them, and glad I did, because we wouldn't have been able to ride that 1.6 Cobra in those conditions. Like, look at right there. You can see it's
for sure.
It's hard ice. Like, there wasn't much snow that day we went there, but yeah. This is the Madawaska River that runs along there, and it was just a breathtaking driving along the rail. It's an old railway line, so it could be boring as hell because it's just kind of straight and smooth, but you have this amazing view of this river, and there's rocks, like massive boulders in the river that you just in awe over. It's like it's totally proof of ice, I mean, the ice age, and the dragging heavy massive rocks and just dropping them wherever.
Yeah.
Rob Reinhardt says, all the scratching is making me itch. But yeah, the Greg Kelly wanted to know if we stopped at the Balmoral Hotel. And I said, yes, the best burger there. It's the Balmoral Burger. Was awesome. Smokehouse. Yeah. 850 XCR says a 1.6 does get hot on hard pack. I can vouch for that. Grab a set of Trailblazers from Koala Pieces. And if you use the coupon code SNOWBRATS15, you get 15% off until the 22nd. So it's on the bottom of the podcast last night in the comments, and it's on the bottom of the comments of both the videos I put out today. So support it. I seen a couple people, actually, one person commented on Facebook. They ordered, and then I seen Greg Kelly ordered a set too. So of carbides with that coupon code. So thank you for supporting the guests on the show as well as the show itself. I appreciate that. So there's the 4 850s lined up for their beauty shot. And man, I can't believe, like, that's I've ridden Lake St. Peter before with the old safaris, and I mean, we didn't cover the ground that the 850s cover by any means, and it's the elevation changes make Sudbury look like anthills. You know, when you get in this area, it blew me away. Loved it. And there's Kevin. He's giving us the thumbs up, and he says this is Auberge for. I'm going to screw this up because this is French. Auberge for Forteresse de la Rive. So must be the Auberge Fortress on the river. That's the hotel right beside the lake and trail. He's going to show, but he gives us a thumbs up. He's having a few days of R&R out there, I think. Cool. This is his. This is the cabin on the river. Pretty nice.
Wow.
That's just a little bump compared to what you're used to there, is it?
Yeah, that's a little bump.
Yeah, it blows me away when I go out west and I see the real mountains, and they're just massive. So Sled 519 rolled in. He says he's here. What did he miss? Yeah, Rob Reinhardt put scratchers on his sled the first time ever, and they work. Peace of mind for early riding or later at night. Good job. Yeah, Wisco said he could have used a set. And Pro Polaris Robbie sent me some old pictures from our group ride up in the Sportsman Lodge. So thanks for sending these in. It's always neat to see another perspective of that weekend. And working on some videos for that as well. And I think Ghoulies has a couple more he's putting out too. Who knows? But good turnout and good times. And we talk about this. My son and I talk about this weekend all the time, and it's definitely a season highlight for us for sure. You know, that was a total blast staying at the Sportsman's Lodge. We had a good time. He pulled this little fire pit here, Brett, is a right there.
Oh, yeah.
That's behind a little Tundra, Ski-Doo Tundra, and he wheeled that out every night when we got home, and dinner is served at 6:30, so we'd roll in about 5:30, and this fire was blazing and people standing around it having a pre-gamer, and away we go. So
I did that a few years ago. A bunch of buddies of mine were going up to Sheridan Lake, and it's kind of a fairly locals place, a bit redneck around there, and they look at us guys coming from the valley like, oh boy, here they come again. And so being a little ingenuitive, we kind of did the same thing, took an old barrel, cut it in half, put it on an old set of skis, raised it up a little bit, and thought, why not? Why wouldn't we start our fire back at the cabin before we take off in the morning, and we'll go out ice fishing because you're freezing your ass off out there trying to start a fire. So some of the locals actually rode out to see what we were doing because they see, number one, at that point I was on my 175, pulling this thing across the lake on fire, smoking like crazy. My sled was 5 times as long as anybody else's because they all just trail sled around there. And they had what are you city guys doing? Like, because you pull up with the fire going, and of course we purposely pulled up to some of the locals that were going, and they're just shaking their head going like, oh boy, you guys gotta be from the valley, right? Oh yeah, we are.
Yeah, that's right. A little overkill on the sled, on the ice fishing sled, huh?
Well, the nice part is you could lay out all your tackle and everything you wanted on the tunnel. So they thought it was pretty ingenious.
That is a good idea. Actually, you don't think about that, do you?
Yeah.
But yeah, the open fire pit's amazing. I just love it. We were going to go riding at night. I think I mentioned this the first weekend we showed those pictures, and Drew goes, I said, let's stay off the beers. We're going to go out. We'll get everybody and we'll go out for a night ride, right? We'll have dinner, come back out, go for a ride. And we pull in and the fire's going and everyone's around with a beer in their hand. And I said to my son on the comm, well, there goes the night ride. And we never did get out.
Yeah, it seemed like such a great idea at the time.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's a thing. So this is from Wisco Sledheads, and he says, well, it was a typical weekend. Just kidding. He said, Massart and his crew, Tim and Rob, came up for rip some vintage sleds around. Unfortunately, we didn't get much riding in. 1.6 miles, and Massart 68 died. He towed it back across the lake to the trailer, grabbed the 98 700 triple, for Rob to rip on, so back to riding. Well, for another mile. And then Jacob popped the motor in his 72. He couldn't ask for better luck on the last weekend of riding, huh? but at least they were dressed for the occasion. We drowned Jacob's sorrows in bush lattes, and it was still a very exciting day. I think Megan and Sexy Eyes pulled a fast one on Jacob so they wouldn't have to endure the cutters for the entire day. That's the ski boosters. They did 5.6 miles on Saturday in a case of bush latte down. 2,232 miles for the season. The VR1 needs some love, but he's ready for next winter and all the epic adventures to come. So pretty good pictures. We lost our guest. He might have just went out for a bathroom break. So I'm going to keep an eye on him and see where he ends up coming back. But really good, cool pictures. I know Massart's a really technically, he's got a good technical background. He can fix this thing with his eyes closed, I'm sure. But yeah, they got the gear on, that's for sure. I love the snowsuit they're both wearing there. Very classic. There's the 72 with the ski boost. Yeah, I bet you the ladies did put sugar in the gas tank or something to keep there. There we go. He's back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, Gary. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. It happens. If I might go too, so you'll have to keep the conversation going.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Rob Runner said Jacob wasn't allowed to drive anything after he blew up everything. That's for sure. I do want to see a picture of Rob Reinhardt in the ski boost, though. So you got to make sure you get me one of those. That's a great package. I love that ski boost.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What was your first sled? Did you have an old one like that?
Yeah, I think my first sled was an old 74 Snowjet 440.
Nice.
Yep. We don't start out small on the farm. You put them on a 440 right off the bat, figure out whether you can hold on or not.
And that was when you were in the Peterborough area, or where were you then?
No, I wasn't in Ontario for too long, and then we moved to Saskatchewan. So most of that all riding was in Saskatchewan. So.
Oh, nice. And when did you move from Saskatchewan out to the mountains?
1988 with the military.
Oh, is that right? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your service.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is the crew. This is Wisco Sledheads behind me here, awesome. Right there. And this is after they did their 1.6 miles of riding before they blew up 2 sleds in 10 minutes. So, but it seems that they're in good spirits. It's a good thing they're easy to work on. You know,
looks like it was a good place to break down.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, he said when you blow up 2 sleds in 10 minutes of driving, you drink. He sent me that on Friday night.
Nice.
I'll just take his word for it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah. So now we got your picks. We got quite a few of them, so we'll roll through them. We'll chat as we go here. But there's your typical sled deck right there. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Are they all the same width, or can you get different widths? I know you mentioned lengths.
Yeah, they're the same width. So when they're closed, in the closed position, they're 78 inches wide, and then in the open position, they're 101.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
There's another shot of it there. Do you want to talk about some of the features on there? I see a taillight, a LED taillight, that part of the safety protocol too. Yeah. Yeah.
So we actually patented that a number of years back when we come out with it. And again, part of the safe, smart, and secure, for a few reasons to put that in there. Number one, for the obvious reasons, it illuminates very, very well. The reverse side of it is really, really nice. I know a lot of guys will just use it at night when you're loading up. You just throw your truck in neutral and you don't have to start it. And that light is 3,600 lumens on the reverse, so it throws down quite a lot of light for the back area. And there's also under deck lighting as well on a switch. So there's 4 LED lights in the headache rack, and then 4 underneath that you can throw on when you're loading your gear, and underneath, and again, the lights on the headache rack for loading. And that drop down that you see in the headache rack was new 2 years ago because so the middle section there, it kind of looks like an M and it drops down underneath. So Chev came out in 2021 with their rear mirror is actually a camera. So you can switch it to the camera, or you can actually use it as a mirror. And unfortunately, they didn't think to call ahead and ask me what I thought how I could work with that with my sled deck. So we found out a little bit late to the game where I was test fitting some decks in some new trucks like I do when every model year comes out. And went, wow, that's great. Our headache rack goes right in front of that camera, so you can't see shit out the back of that. So quickly went back to production and made some changes and tried to make it look kind of cool, but also be functional so that that rear camera would work. And I think we accomplished that. Everybody was pretty happy. We had about 10 different designs to go off of, and that was the one that was that kind of fit the bill and kept it kind of sleek looking and kind of made it look like it matched into the trucks. So yeah.
It does look good, and it kind of does look like an M, like you said. It's neat.
Yeah,
good design, and that's on a Ford. It kind of has that Ford look to it too. You know, like it complements some of the lines.
Right.
There you go. Sled 519 says he's a big fan of his Marlon single loader and gives you a thumbs up.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
There you go. Yeah. I think it's a great product.
Mm-hmm.
So the sled decks are all aluminum, are they? Like they're yeah, right on.
Yep.
And then is the traction products yours, or do you outsource the traction guides and glides?
So the glides, the super glides on the deck and on the ramp, we are our super glides product. So we use we have a great relationship with Super Clamp out of Calgary. They're very, very good friends with us. We do a lot of stuff back and forth together and use as much of their products as we can for sure.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it looks like a really nice package.
Mm-hmm.
When you get this, when a dealer gets this, how much assembly is there required?
Well, from our branches, and we try to push this through our distributors, and pretty much everybody does it, is to have the decks go out fully assembled. So there's literally nothing for the dealers to do other than throw the deck in the truck. And again, back to what I said before, if they want to do an install, they can. And if not, the DIY comes into play, and the customer can come home, strap it down the best way you can, and then go home. And we do supply with the decks, the full mounting kit comes in. It's a bolt down kit. Again, our instructions that are on the website are very easy to follow, and everything's designed. It's designed to work on every truck. And that's not an easy thing to accomplish because there is several, every OEM has multiple variations of their truck box and how it sits. And generally speaking, the pattern is similar, but there are some changes and some uniqueness to different brands. And we kind of have to keep that in mind. Hence every time a new truck comes out, I'm there pretty darn quick getting all the measurements. And we've been in SEMA. We actually had a booth in SEMA a couple of years ago, and being on part of the SEMA board, we actually get some information from the OEMs in advance, which is really nice when there's changes, because our production run is 8 to 10 months out from release. So if the new trucks come out and we don't know something, then we can get caught in it. So we've tried to do our best to keep on top of that stuff. So
a couple of questions here from the chat. Throwing Sparks says, Brett, are the sled decks powder coated or are they anodized?
They're powder coated.
Right on. And do you do that in house?
No, that's all done at the factory. We used to have the option before to just do bare aluminum, and then we went to powder coat. And now you can have absolutely any color you want as long as it's black, and it makes it easy and perfect.
That's sweet. So Sled 519, who loves his single loader, says, what advice can you give a sled deck owner so they don't become a viral social media sensation?
Practice.
Is there any tips you have for using your product?
Yeah, there definitely is. And it literally is a matter of there's no substitute for seat time on anything. And it just does take loading a few times to realize, I guess the biggest, the one question mark when it comes to anything, whether it be the sled deck loading or whether it be the single loader, is what you're loading from. So if you're loading anything from an icy parking lot or whatever, you got to be extra careful with it. There's nothing we can do about that. And that just in some takes, it takes a little bit more momentum to get that track to touch the ramp. And really it's all about the track making contact with the ramp, because if you look closely at our ramps, the single loaders and the ramps all have ramp rung protectors up the middle. They're 12 inches wide. They're screwed down to the ramp rungs. And as soon as your track hits those Yeah, unfortunately, there probably is a picture there, Gary, and we might come to it as we go.
Yeah, when we come to it, we can talk about that.
Yeah, I'll point it out again. But once your track hits that, it's very easy to load at that point. You don't need a lot of momentum, but you do need enough momentum to get the track to contact the ramp. So
yeah. Bobby O has the best tip. He says, "Don't record yourself when loading." LOL.
That's a very good one. Yes.
Maybe you should. Maybe you should have a GoPro mount that's actually at that head rack, and and you can make people viral sensations as they go.
Yeah. But please wear your helmet at the end of the day. No matter what happens, have your helmet on, because man,
is that one of the tips in the
absolutely?
Like always, you never know, no matter what. Like you see that a lot of people driving the sled up the ramp and not wearing a helmet, and you think, man, that's kind of sketchy.
Yeah.
But does you can see the actual deck here has sides on it. Do the ramps in your loading also have sides, or what keeps you on the ramp when you're unloading and loading it?
Yeah, so our ramp has super glides on them as well, and the super glides profile it's about an 8 mil, or it's a little over a 1/4 inch profile that runs lengthwise on them. So when your carbides get on there, I'm not saying to let go of your handlebars, but you almost can let go of the handlebars, because the carbide will stay straight on the glides and it'll load you right up the ramp and right onto the deck, and it's continuous. So as soon as you get onto the deck, you're onto the same glides, the same grooves. And it'll just channel right up there. And our ramp in particular on our sled deck, we've designed it. It was specifically designed and engineered so that there's a lip on the top section of the ramp. So the standard ramp is 10 feet telescopic. You pull that in half, you got 5 feet on the lower section, 5 feet on the upper. The upper section has a 3.5 inch lip on the outside of it, so that when you do get onto that section, you're not, even if you do mess up somehow in the glides, the outside of the ramp is going to keep you in the ramp till you get up onto the deck. So
yeah, cool. Very cool. This is a great shot of your truck loaded up, ready to go. And I see you have ATV. There's an ATV or UTV, side by side loader up there on the top as well.
You betcha.
That's
cool. That's one of the. I think that's out of our Washington branch. Yeah, that's out of the Washington office. And actually what that is on the top of there, you're right, it is a side-by-side deck, but it's actually our riser. So that's a load of sled decks probably going out in September, October to some dealer somewhere. And so the side-by-side riser is pretty cool. So we have our dedicated side-by-side deck that goes into the pickup truck, much like the sled deck does. And then we also, for dual sport users, if you're a sledder and a side-by-sider, we designed the riser to go onto the sled deck. So with 4 bolts, that bolts down to your sled deck, and then you're using your sled deck in combination with the riser to load your side-by-side as well.
Oh, that's a great idea. So you get all multi-season out of it.
Yeah, you bet.
Perfect. I've actually seen those before. I wasn't sure if that was on a sled deck or if it was its own little product there. But, this is beautiful. I think I found my new screensaver on my phone.
Yeah, that was a late season ride up in the Coquihalla, actually, and it was me and my best friend Shane and his son Cole out for a rip. And it was actually a pretty cold morning, but it was just the way the clouds were coming in. It was pretty spectacular. Every once in a while, you get that where the cloud cover comes in low. I mean, there's a high ceiling you can see in the distance, but just a little bit of fog / cloud down lower. And, you ride up through that stuff and you're thinking, oh man, are we getting the soup all day? And then you break through it there. In that particular case, it was probably around 2,500 feet. And then it was bluebird the whole rest of that day. It was pretty epic. So.
Wow. Was this just this season past?
That actually was last season, that picture. Yeah.
That was last season. Nice. I know you were talking about the tree, the snow, the amount of snow you get, and it's usually just the treetop sticking out.
That's right.
Is that what we're looking at here, or are these?
No, that's actually pretty high up. That's a little wind blown, so that's why you're seeing some carnage there on the ground. Which not typically we have enough snow to cover that stuff, but it was a little bit of a low snow. Just before that picture was taken, it was kind of low. The snowpack was a little bit low. Then we actually went 10 days in a row where we had snow. We had 10 feet in 10 days. And then it just kept on snowing on and off for about a month. So it kind of got everything back to where it should have been.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When the actual junk's sticking out of the snow like that, it kind of ruins the surprises of breaking an A-arm, doesn't it?
Pretty obvious when you hit those ones, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. No one fault but your own, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Another great shot. So what mountain range is this?
That's just outside of Boston Bar. So that's a little north of us. And that's, just outside the backside of riding area. Merritt Snowmobile Club has a riding area called Honeymoon. And that's in there. So that's actually the Styone mountain range that kind of cuts across to the Coquihalla. So you can go up through the canyon through Cache Creek. That would be the same highway you would take to Alaska. And then you cut off to a little road called North Amesley on the east side, just outside of Boston Bar, and you can ride that mountain range right to the Coquihalla and beyond. So it's pretty spectacular, and it's pretty big country in there.
That's wicked.
Cool place to go.
So when you ride, do you typically ride in a big group, or are you comfortable enough just to go with you and a buddy or a couple buddies, or how do you usually structure those rides?
Yeah, normally we're kind of usually about 4 to 8. It's in the mountains. It's too big a group. It's like herding cats, right? So it can not ruin your day, and sometimes it can be the best rides. It just all depends on who's there and what's going on, and deep snow or low snow. If you're trying to cover some ground and do some exploring, sometimes the big groups kind of slow that down. But again, on a deep day where you're not getting too far anyways, it's a lot of fun, and you need a lot of buddies to help you dig out and pull out and roll over and all the rest of it. So, but yeah, the ideal group for us is that 4 to 6 number is pretty handy. So
that's great, man. That scenery is insane.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little bit bigger than the Madawaska ski hill. Just a little bit. We didn't quite have the cloud layer like this mountain has. We may have been 500 feet, not 2,500 feet.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
If we're lucky, maybe 300 feet. I don't know. This is cool. And how long does it take you from your truck to get to this part where you're taking the picture?
That riding area is actually an area in my riding area. And when I say mine, it's the Coquihalla Snowmobile Club, which I'm on the board. Actually, I'm the president of the club, have been for a few years, and we've got a fantastic organization that's done really, really well and really, really, really grown the club. So that from our parking lot, which is basically at the old toll booth on the Coke, we call it our 0K parking lot. And then we have 2 riding areas our main riding area is Henning Mountain and 10K Mountain. And this is 10K. So it's literally 10Ks from the parking lot to get to where you turn off the FSR road, the Forest Service Tree road up. And it's about a 10-minute ride from that road up to get to the Alpine. Our cabin is kind of right behind where I'm taking that picture. You can't see it, but it's basically just out the back door of one of our riding areas. The cabin in that riding area.
Oh, sweet. And you stay overnight in the cabin, or is it just a warming shelter?
It's just a warming shelter. Yeah. We're actually in the process of replacing that in that area, that particular cabin on 10K. We're going to replace that in April. It's long, getting a little long in the tooth and well overdue. So we're putting a new one up, but our riding areas are not typically overnight destinations kind of thing. More like warming shacks. And I think for us, we groom our club in particular grooms over 100 kilometers of terrain right into the Alpine. So you're in and out pretty easily. It's not like you're going for days to find areas. So.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. And it's Marlon deck with some taigas on the back.
Oh, I guess we snuck that one in there, did we?
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we were. We love the tech, and we love where they're going with it. I think it's pretty cool, and I think all the OEMs are going to be following along. I know BRP is making some announcements. Taiga came to us a couple years ago, and we did some stuff with them. And part of their testing and stuff, they needed a deck, and I think they had a single loader as well. And they were doing some testing up in Whistler, so it was interesting. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Have you ridden one yet, like the Tiger?
No, I had a chance to ride one, and something happened that day, and I couldn't actually get there for that testing day. And it's too bad because I really, really wanted to. One of our sponsored riders, actually, Kirk Murray out of Revelstoke, works with Taiga, and he's a single loader guy. And he was up there. That was part of his entourage going up, and I was supposed to make it that day, but couldn't. He's rode them, and he was pretty impressed with them. So I think they got some big things coming. That's for sure.
That's awesome. They were just in the news though, so it wasn't great news, but
yeah,
you know,
they got some hurdles, but
yeah, hopefully they'll get over. It's a couple of road bumps. Hopefully they'll get through them. I think it's a great product. The BRP coming out with their own can only help, right? It's just a wider net, bigger market, and you know, it can only help someone like Taiga. So I think, and Taiga being the first, the name's well known. I want them on the show. I'd love to chat with them because I think the product is really cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
There's another one there. That's neat. Oh, and there's your single loader. That's perfect. Yeah. So for the people watching that don't really know much about that single loader, why don't you go through some of the features on it?
So it's sitting up against the truck there, the one on the left, obviously, or not obviously if you don't know what it is. And that's just the angle that it sits on. It literally, underneath it, there's 6 casters underneath it that are 3.5 inches tall. And there's what I call the shark fin on the back. So you can't see it in the picture, but behind the last casters, there's a fin on either side that butts up against the back of your tailgate, so that when you go to load, the skis and the the inertia and the momentum of the sled doesn't cause the thing to slide into the truck or close the tailgate or anything. That it butts up against the tailgate, and it's a positive stop, and then the sled basically skis slide up until it gets to a point where the track touches the rungs, and at that point, or actually before that, is where I was talking. The actual bottom of here, I catch myself pointing at the picture here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But the bottom of the single loader actually comes up off the ground to meet the track. And then you just, you keep going up. There's a little plastic flip up piece on the front to kind of give you an indicator as where to stop with the ski. And that tells you where the weight load point is. So then you can stop, set your brake, jump off the sled, and literally, if you go on the videos of our website, you'll see me and other guys just with one hand, you can literally lift the bumper of your sled back up and then push it forward into the truck, and that's when it engages the casters and rolls right in.
Yeah, it is a one person job. It's a really great product, and again, it's not attached to your box, so you're not drilling any hardware into your truck.
Yep.
It basically sitting on there, and like you said, there's a little step like the wedge you'd mentioned that keeps it from, as soon as you get weight on it, pushes down on your tailgate. It's not going to move. It's not going to go anywhere. So, and you recommend putting straps on it as well, just as a secondary, just in case, right?
Yeah, you certainly can. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with strapping it down if you want to. I mean, it's the testing and everything was done on it without straps. But if that's your comfort level, is to put a strap on it, then by all means, put a strap on it for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Massart says he thought the goal was to launch it over the truck.
I'd love to do the video, but
yeah, that's right. You'll hold the camera.
Legal forbids it.
I hear you. This is this your sled here?
Yeah, that was that same ride that same day, but that was last year on that's 18175 with a boondocker on it. So that's my mountain tamer edition. So
yeah, here's something Bobby O says. He hates to be that guy, but do you know all trucks gross vehicle weight, GVWR? If the sled or side by side has a full tank of gas, the truck full tank of gas, 4 guys luggage beer, that's a ton of weight. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so that's it, Bobby. I appreciate the question. That's a great question, and that's something that we can't control, other than if you look on again back to the assembly instructions and on our website, the onus is on the owner on that one. You literally got to open your door and look at what the man tags are and go with that, and then start reversing the math from there. The deck is 385 pounds. My sled is 425 times 2. This guy weighs 200 pounds. This guy's 250. It really comes down to that. And that, back to a little earlier in the show when we were talking about kind of the push for the single loaders in Ontario, was that a lot of people driving 1500 series trucks, that the half tons don't have the carrying capacity as the 1 tons, obviously. The OEMs actually getting a little wise to that now. You can specifically order your half ton now with pretty heavy duty suspension in it. I know Ford has an F-150 that you can order that has a little more than, it actually has more carrying capacity than a 250, just by the suspension on it. So it really comes down to that is, you do got to have the truck that's going to be safe to haul a load, because the last thing we want to see is somebody going down a hill somewhere and cooking their brakes and having an accident because they didn't pay attention to what the suggested GVWR was. So.
Yeah. And do you think that, like, if someone was overweight, does it make the truck tippy at all, or what are some of the things that can happen?
Yeah, the handling characteristics with a sled deck with 2 sleds on it typically isn't too. You're going to get some body roll in a 1500. There's no doubt, especially in, like, Chevys are notorious for riding like a car, and that's why we all love them. But they are a little soft, so you're going to feel some body roll in that. And again, it's back to I don't think the body roll and stuff is as big an issue as it's the braking, right? The trucks are made on a weight rating based on the size of brakes that are in the truck, and as soon as you overheat a set of brakes, you're in trouble. So.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, that makes sense. Bobby O says, copy that, Brett. Thank you. And he gives you a thumbs up. So yeah, that's the thing. It's a great comment, and a lot of people won't realize that, so you're saying I shouldn't put that sled deck, the dual sled deck, on the back of a Honda Ridgeline. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
That's why we have the Mountain Edition single loader.
Exactly. Ryan C says he has a single loader. It's super easy to use, he says right there.
Awesome.
So that's great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so pretty popular product. I want one. I really do. That's another great shot, high above the clouds. How often do you get bluebirds days like this where you ride?
Late season, the later in the season, the better. Obviously, we get into, we don't typically start riding till mid-December. And it's not that we don't have snow. It's just that we need enough snow to cover. The creeks need to fill in. We need to cover the stumps. A lot of our riding areas are in old clear cut areas, and a lot of logging areas. And depending on when that happened, some of them there was stumpage fees, so they got rid of all the stumps, and a lot of them there wasn't. So we need enough snow to cover, kind of the dangerous things underneath. So, we get, our groomers don't roll, for instance, till there's about 6 feet of snow. And the better riding areas, we need 8 to 10 feet of snow. 12 feet gets it pretty nice. And then everything on top of that starts to stack up. It just gets better and better. So.
When you say groomer, it's just a snowcat, like a Prenoth, or with a blade on the back, or do you actually tow a drag?
Yeah, we have 3 in our riding area in Coquihalla. We have 3 piston bullies, and we run tillers on all 3 of them. So
nice. Yeah, when you say 100 kilometers, that's quite a bit for getting you into the mountain ranges, right? Because it will be 100 kilometers of not flat. It'll be up a mountain path, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Are you checking your carbides here?
That's exactly. I was just making sure. I was trying to put my scratchers up there, and if you've seen the video of that, you'd laugh even more, because the ski you see on that other sled is my buddy's son Cole, and we were showing him how to wheelie up this hill, and I literally just I pogo sticked my sled on a 175, and my buddy he was cracking up laughing so hard he almost dropped his camera or his phone in the snow, because I was literally dangling off the handlebars of my sled on purpose. And Cole's like, at that point, I think Cole was probably 14, and he's got his helmet up, and he's like, really? That's what I'm supposed to do? Just like that? We were just killing ourselves. Like, yeah, no. That wasn't quite it, but it was an A for effort.
That's wicked. It looks like he's stuck against a tree there.
No, he's just hiding. That was protection so that I didn't hit him. So I said, just hide behind the trees. That way I know I won't come anywhere near you.
Yeah, like that little treetop's going to stop you. Stop your sled. Yeah, just more traction there, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's beautiful. This is the kind of, I'd love to ride like this.
Yeah.
deep snow downhill, just carving up a storm like you're on a snowboard.
Yeah, power snowboard.
Yeah,
Downhill power turns are what it's all about.
that is wicked. This is a sweet Chevy right there.
Yeah, that's one of our bigger and better. I'll say bigger and better because Michael's a great guy. It's one of our dealers out there that's just down the road, almost in Abbotsford. And that he just picked his truck up that day, and he was like, "Hey, do you want a couple of photos for your new deck release?" And we're like, "Absolutely, yeah, for sure." So,
yeah, that's a beautiful truck, right?
Turned out pretty nice. Some people like to see them with snow in the background, but I think they did a pretty good job of that. So
yeah, it looks good. You know, the Marlon deck looks great up there too on that truck.
Yeah, like I said, any color of black, it's fantastic, right?
Yeah. Do you find people wrap the sides too, or they tend to keep them black?
Yeah, no, we do actually have a number of people. We did work with SCS for a couple of years there as well. So that's the guys that supply BRP Skidoo with their wraps. If you look them up or shoot them an email, they have all the dimensions for our decks and stuff, and they'll cut you out. There's actually a couple companies out there that are doing it. Yeah, and we get a lot of customers sending in pictures and stuff of them matching their sleds or whatever their team colors kind of thing that they want to roll with. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, you get some pretty awesome designs.
Yeah, that's neat. Oh, for sure. You match your sleds and everything like that. So
yeah,
here's a couple more up there. That looks like it's on a Ram of sorts.
Yeah, that's on the guys that do that. They do a magazine and a blog called Fate and Fear. Out of the States, out of Colorado. That's their setup.
Sweet. Yeah. Now, with different, I think you said the sled decks are the same. The mounting brackets are different truck to truck, right?
No, they actually are all the same. They are the positioning. I didn't explain that well enough. What's tricky is trying to get that to work with all trucks. We have it dialed in, but we always have to keep on top of it, and we don't change it unless there's something major that needs to be changed. But it's so the leg in itself, and then the shim system that we use to adjust the height so that you can put it down specifically for your truck on how low you want it to sit on the box. And then 2 years ago, we come out with our seal kit that goes in between the deck and the truck. So now you can, with those shims, you can adjust it down to put enough pressure on that seal kit to seal it off. And there's the two side pieces that go with aluminum with the rubber gasket on the outside, and then there's a front rubber dampener that the headed rack extrusion is very specific and it allows that to slide in there. And then there's a tailgate piece that goes in so that when you close your tailgate, it bumps up against the rubber as well and then seals the deck off. So when you have stuff in the box of your truck, it's totally dry and it's clean. It's weatherproof but not waterproof, and I say that because the top decking on the deck itself is not waterproof. It's a slide together dovetail system. So some decks are really, really good, and some decks there is some leakage through there. And also, I'm always cautious to say this because it's an aluminum deck. When there's temperature variations, aluminum contracts and it heats up and cools down very quickly and creates condensation. So there is dripping inside the deck just simply because of that as well. So, but the weatherproof part of it, or the weather seal part of it, was designed, when there was nothing there. If you're out on a snowstorm and the wind's howling, you can literally get a snowbank in the box of your truck if it's blowing the right way or the wrong way, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
It stops that. So for sure.
Oh, perfect. And then the surface deck of the Marlon, is it easy to keep clean? Like if you get up there with your sled and it melts, the heat exchanger melts chunks of ice and then it refreezes. How do you go about cleaning that surface?
The nice part about having the super glides on there is that profile that sticks up always gives you traction, unless it's really extreme. But I've never seen it to the point where you couldn't get enough traction to get up and walk around. And the other part of that is the stuff is like a ballistics material. So if you get a lot of ice up there, you can literally take a shovel or an icebreaker or even your boot and stomp on it hard enough. It'll break up, and then you can literally just kick it off the deck. So,
oh, that's great. Yeah, I love that product in my trailer on the ramp because the little nibs you can walk up and down without slipping on your bum, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, when we use them on our ramp, so you can do the same on our ramp. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
A trailer ramp is one thing when it's a foot and a half off the ground, but a sled deck in the back of a truck is 4 to 5 feet depending on the truck. And that's, even on a 10-foot ramp, there's a bit of an angle there. So you want to be pretty confident. Another one of the reasons why we went to the wide glides was to give more of a footprint, easier, more stability, and safer getting on and off. So.
And here's a picture of a ram, and it looks like it has a leveling kit, or it might even be lifted a bit. Is there a limitation of what angle that ramp can be? Like, do you say do not make it more than 60 degrees, or is that once you ship the product, you're on your own?
Yeah, it is definitely kind of a user friendly position that we would take on that. One of the things we do offer is we have 3 lengths of ramp, so 8.5 feet, 10 feet, and 12 feet. So the 8.5 foot is kind of designed for the 5.5 and 5.8 truck boxes, just simply because of physical length. That's all that can go in there. The 10 foot is standard, comes in all the decks unless you change it. And then the 12 foot, you have to have a long box to fit it in there because of the physical length. But the one thing we come out with, I think in 2017 or 18, was a 2-foot ramp extension. So if you do have that 8.5 foot and you do have a lifted truck, or you have a lifted truck and you have a 10 foot and you need a longer ramp, that 2-inch extension literally slides on in seconds and slides off in seconds. It slides on the bottom section of the ramp when you're pulling it out, and it just has two rapid pins or quick pins on each side, or one on each side. And then you extend the ramp out just to reduce that angle. So you want to keep that angle safe for sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you try and help the customer with that depending on what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you do see them on lifted trucks, and you wonder how the people get the sleds up there,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the Fate and Ferber. That's great. Is there a rule legally, or does it depend on state or province on how much your stuff can cantilever or stick out the back? Or does it matter?
It does go state by state. In Canada, it's 4 feet from the OEM taillights before you have to have a reflective. So nice now that all the OEMs are putting reflective taillights on the sleds. So you are covered. You'd have to have a pretty short truck, and maybe a 5.5 and a 7 foot on a 175 would be getting close. But for the most part, everybody's within that. Or we always encourage people, and our sales guys tell everybody, like, if you're running anything more than a 154 on a 7 foot deck, you need an extension for a couple of reasons. Number one, the super clamps themselves are rated for 800 pounds, evenly distributed down pressure. They're not designed to carry. They're not designed to work against cantilever. So you start hanging 3-4 feet of the sled over the back, and you hit a big frost heave or a pothole on the side of the road, and that sled bounces. There is a tremendous amount of pressure that goes to the front off the skis to pull them up. So,
yeah, would you say this is at the limit here, the one we're looking at? Yeah, it seems that there's a lot of skid hanging over the back of that truck.
There is for sure. And since that picture, he's actually got an extension now. We did talk to him about it because they do a lot of travel, and I just said, guys, besides the safety factor and the super clamp, if you're overhanging like that on the front of the skid, you're putting a tremendous amount of pressure on that front spring. It's spring and shock, and you'll beat the living crap out of that. So.
True, that's right. On your sled, the sled shocks for sure. Yeah. Well, the other thing is it's really drawn attention to it as well, right? And that's the last thing you want when you're on the road, right?
Yes, especially when you're pushing into new areas that aren't really, that sled decks are new to. I mean, law enforcement is everywhere, and when they start seeing that, and if they don't know, they're probably going to pull you over and start checking and maybe start going through the rule book. And unfortunately, we don't have every DOT regulation out there. We just, again, it's back to the same idea as the weight rating on your truck. You got to understand that yourself and figure that stuff out, because we can't know all of them. So.
Oh, for sure. I just want to reply to a couple of comments. They're talking about that overhang and stuff. And I said, I'll show photos of my Renegade in the back of my Ridgeline next week. I do have photos of that when I had my Ridgeline. I got a Ram now, but
yeah, there you go.
yeah, that's great. This is your classic photo right there. You know, the
Yeah,
Marlon
that's a
deck,
good one.
2 sleds in the back. How clean do the sleds, like if you're talking, it's probably not that like that out west because they maybe not even use salt, but you know, in Ontario, when we have a lot of salt and stuff on the road, how clean do your sleds stay when they're up there? Do you recommend covering them?
I do use covers on mine when I'm going a distance, but for local riding and stuff, I don't. And it does kind of depend if there's been a big storm go through or whatever, and it's kind of warmed up. I mean, we don't use the chemicals that you guys use for sure, as far as much salt and stuff. But on a deck compared to a trailer, there's no comparison how much cleaner the sleds stay for sure. I still err on the side of, you know, you end up in 2-lane traffic and you're passing somebody that throws a rock or anything like that. I'm a little fussy with my sled. I like to keep it pretty clean as well. So,
yeah, for sure. Oh, it's got a little side light in the O of the Marlin. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. There's amber lights in the front and then the red LED, red LED side marker lights in the back. You bet.
Very nice. And that's a good shot of the LED tail light there.
Yeah.
So the little strip that's right here,
Yeah.
Is that what the ramp extends out on?
No, inside so the ramp actually just has hooks on it. So it hooks onto that whole back bar and it completely covers the LED light bar as well. That LED light bar is embedded into that. It's embedded into that. That's actually an extrusion for us. It's 1 7/8 inches, and the LED bar is embedded in there so that the ramp hooks can go over it and still can't contact it. So it's recessed a little bit. And then the ramps themselves, when you open up the tailgate, there's ramp tray in there that the ramps slide in right up tight underneath the deck, as high as it can be. So it still keeps, you know, at minimum, you have 17.5 inch clearance between the bottom of the ramp and the bottom of the truck box. So if you want to put totes in there or, you know, 5-gallon jerry cans, it all fits in, no problem. So
good idea. There's another good shot without the sleds on it. Mm-hmm. So this is the Explorer Pro. What other lines do you have in your on your website?
In the sled deck, we just have the Explorer Pro, and that's just the series that the deck has come in. So that's the Explorer Pro 2. You know, Explorer Pro 1 was the first edition, and then as you know, this would be Gen 2 kind of thing. So we just do the sled deck version, and then we have the ATV version as well. The only difference is the ATV version does not have the super glides on the deck itself. So
right on.
And, it doesn't come with obviously doesn't come with front and rear super clamps. So
I got you. Now, if someone wants to order product, can they buy on your website, or do you recommend them to go to dealers?
Yeah, we're dealer only. We just strictly distribution here, so we support our dealer network, and that's the only way to go. We do have a dealer locator on our website, so depending on what product, and it's very product specific because we try and keep our website very current as to what the stocking dealers are. So if you're looking for a 7-foot sled deck, click on the 7-foot deck, set the sled deck in the drop down, and then scroll to the bottom into the dealer locator, and then put your postal code in there, and it'll come up with the closest stocking dealers to your postal code. And we want to do that to keep people from driving, you know, a couple 100 miles or something like that to find out they get there and find out that they actually don't have a 7-foot sled deck. They only have 8-foots, or, you know, we try and make it as easy as possible. So.
And you'll find that the dealer will carry one specific line for their clientele. Is that right?
Yeah, it's usually always the dealer will carry a mix of 7 and 8 foots. And it's funny, it's very, when you start talking North America wise, it's very territory driven as far as sales go. There's a lot of areas that sell a ton of 7-foot decks, and then there's a lot of areas that sell only 8-foot decks, just because that's particularly the trucks that are in that area. So the dealers kind of get to figure out fairly quickly as to what's going around. We always just tell people, you know, a new dealer, if you're not quite sure, the best way to check is go take a drive by your local car dealership and see what their inventory is on the lot. If you don't see a short box truck on the lot, you're going to sell a lot of 8-foot decks.
Yeah, there you go. Renegade X says he got pulled over with a sled loaded on a single loader. He thought it was hanging out too far. The cop thought it was hanging out too far, but it wasn't. I said there are reflectors on it. He said you still need a flag if over the 4-foot overhang. Is that location specific?
No, that is true. If you're over 4 feet, you do. It's the same as taking home, picking up a couple 2x4s at Home Depot or something. It is red flag required if you're over 4 feet. You bet.
There you go. So best to have a measuring device when you're loading the sled. So good tips too, Renegade X. That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
People know that, right?
Good question. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, absolutely. My fans are awesome. They're full of knowledge. They're full of BS and knowledge.
Did they get that all from you, Gary?
No.
Oh, come on. I
think
said you ran up there for a good one. You could have told Fred.
Yeah, there we go. There's that sexy Chevy again. That's awesome.
That's kind of a cool, the backdrop to that last picture is kind of neat. It kind of, when they sent it to us, so that's underneath the bridge of we just moved into our new buildings, our new headquarter buildings. We used to be in Chilliwack and now we're in Agassiz, and we just built new property, new building, new everything. And we have to cross that bridge every day to get to work now, the Agassiz-Rosedale Bridge. And it's quite a far span, and it spans over the Fraser River. It's spectacular, and there's mountains on either side. So it's my drive to work. I was talking to my buddy from Calgary just one day last week, and his wife is from Russia, and she doesn't like she likes Calgary, but she doesn't like the cold in the wintertime. And I said, Julia, if you could be looking through my eyes right now, I'm crossing over the bridge and I'm looking up at snowy covered mountain peaks on either side, and the valley is green. We don't get much snow, and it doesn't even freeze in the valley very often. We get it a little bit, but within a couple of days it warms up and it's gone. And she's just blown away. She's like, "Oh, Ren, we need to move that way. We need to move out there." So it's a pretty special place for sure.
Oh yeah, never get that bridge looks gorgeous, and that's the bottom of it. That's crazy.
Yeah, pretty neat.
You got nice finishing on here too. Like you said, the little LEDs on the side, and you've got end caps on all the extrusion.
Yeah,
pretty cool. So how long, if a DIY guy is putting this in his truck, how long does it take to install one of these things?
The first time, like the initial time, I always tell people it's about a half an hour. It's literally just squaring the deck up into the truck box itself, like square on the sides, square to the center support is underneath the center, the center of the rear window. And then you got to drill 4 holes if you're using our bolt down system, and it's 4 1/2-inch bolts. The holes are already pre-existing in the legs, so it's a matter, you just square it up, drill those 4 holes in, drop the bolts that are supplied, and then we have a 3.5 by 2.5-inch threaded plate that goes on the bottom side. And the first time you might need a buddy to go down there, and you drop the bolts through, hold the plate up there, get it started, and then impact it up in position. And then once you've done that, that's the cool part about this is once you've done it the first time and the holes are in, after that you can undo it yourself and take it out yourself with just an impact. You can just take an impact to the top and hit it. It'll unthread. The plate will drop down to the ground. And then when you want to put the deck back in, you put it in, drop the bolts in, go underneath, give those threaded plates a spin, and then go back in and hit it with an impact, and they'll suck up tight again. So.
Oh, nice. You don't have to worry about having a wrench on the bottom.
No.
One person can actually do it once it's installed.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, there's talk. Do you really need a 2500 series truck to have a deck on it, or does it depend?
Yeah, again, it comes back to just what the factory, what the OEM rating is on that particular truck. Because like I said, I don't know all of them, and it all depends. Some of in the F-150, for instance, there's 8 different suspension packages you can put in the truck if you factory order, and that all comes down to what the GVW are that you want in the truck. So you can totally legally put 1.5 ton as long as the GVWR is high enough for what you're carrying.
Yeah, nice. Again, the brakes are the key, right?
Yep.
So that's a snowmobile track that we're looking at winding through this mountainside?
That's me.
That's awesome. Very cool.
You know how much I had to beg my buddies to not follow me in there and mess that up before I took that picture?
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah, they're all waiting at the end of that track. They're just like, okay, I'm going to give them like 3 minutes, and then we're shredding the place. So.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got 5 minutes, and then we're coming, and we're just going to tear up that hill.
Yep.
You should have sent a after picture of all the
I should have.
that thing shredded.
Totally.
Wow, look at that, untouched.
That's Brandywine and Whistler. Yeah. So that's going out towards Ring Mountain and Whistler. It's a pretty special area. Yeah.
This is great. If you ever want to know what's on your mind, you look in your goggles.
Yeah. I don't get very many good ones like that, but that particular one I really liked because it was very clear and it was a very beautiful day.
I love that shot. Yeah, that snow glows like your head, Gary, Corey Jinks says. It's very true. That's that shot there. It does. I think I have more wrinkles than that shot, though.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Yeah, Drew's got it too soon, Corey. Too soon. But another nice shot, and you made this one black and white for added mood. Is that a glacier? Is that a glacier we're looking at?
No, it's actually not. There is a glacier in that mountain range a little bit further back, but it just that was one of my favorites. That's in that Skyome Skyome mountain range out at Boston Bar, and I took that picture, and then we wanted to use it for our website, and I said, you know what, let me just switch that over to black and white and see what it looked like, and everybody was like, yeah, that looks pretty epic. So yeah.
That is very epic. There we go. That's your old Summit, is it?
Yep, that's the old one.
Nice.
I still have that one actually, just because that I threw that boondocker on it a few years ago, and that sled has been, knock on wood, I've done nothing but add fuel and oil to that sled and change the spark plugs, and it's been flawless from day one.
Right on. Yeah, good machines, man.
Yeah.
I can't believe how reliable they built these 850s now.
Oh, it's nuts. It's nuts.
Seen a lot for sale with like 18,000 kilometers on, not touched. You know.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, you don't have to go too far back to figure out how much time we spent wrenching. I mean, we used to go mountain riding for one ride, wrench for 6 days so we could go back out on the 7th. And now it's literally like cheating. You take the thing home and you're lucky if you even do I even take the side panel off this thing and look at my clutches? I mean, I used to be a clutch guru, and I'd rag everybody to death for not cleaning their clutches and smooth, you had to do everything. And now I hardly even know the things are there.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, for sure. What brings you to Skidoo over another brand? Is it something you've always ridden, or do you have a reason why you prefer the Summit?
Yeah, honestly, Gary, I don't know. Growing up in Saskatchewan, like I said, I had an old snow jet. We had some John Deeres. We had Yamahas. My dad was a big Yamaha guy. My first mountain sled was the 08 XP. And I rode my buddy's 670 back in the day, and we went up a few times, had a blast. And then, when the XPs came out and advertised weight was blah, 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 I kind of jumped on then, and I fell in love with it right then and haven't looked back. So.
Yeah, that's cool. And who's this sexy beast?
Well, can't you see the similarities? My hair's a little bit shorter, man.
How much, with that flat top military cut there, how much snow piles up when you don't have a hat on?
It can get pretty tall.
Are you sitting there talking to your buddies and there's 4 inches?
That's right.
Corey Jinks says, because Skidoo is the best. I was getting at that, Corey Jinks. Yeah. Yeah,
I have to be a little I can be brand. I can, I'm a Skidoo guy, but it's funny that you bring that up though, because I mean, we sell at every different OEM and they're all awesome. My buddies will ask me, well, what should I buy? And I'm like, what can you afford? Because at the price of everything today, everything out there should be good. I got lots of buddies that ride Polarises and they love them, and guys that ride Alphas and they love them. The Yamaha's a little faded off, just out here because of the weight. But yeah, I don't not ride with anybody because of what they ride, what brand they ride. But there's a good mix out there, and it's awesome. So
Oh, for sure. For sure. Well, you know what? Like you said, they all are about the same price point. So you kind of got to put your butt on them and figure out what fits you the best, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I might think ride's amazing. Someone else might think it's horrible. And like
Totally.
I rode a Polaris XCR, it was way too stiff for me, but McKenna loved it. So I mean, it's you know, you take what you're used to and what you ride and that kind of thing, right?
Yep.
So I was just getting at that. I didn't know whether you had a Polaris and it had broken down, and this was a shot of you walking back to the truck or what. But
no comment.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure. So there's one. So is that the extension we're looking at?
No, so that's just a standard 10-foot, and that's a stock 3500. That truck. I mean, he's got a little bit lower profile tires on it than stock are. So the truck still sits pretty much stock height. So that's pretty much what a 10-foot looks like.
I drive up that.
Yeah, it's really, it's, you know, like I said, once or twice up or down, and it's really a non-issue. Most people go, oh yeah, you know what, I was making a bigger deal over this was. And I always tell people, I'd rather people be cautious of it than be, oh, this is easy and go flying up there at 100 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, use a little bit of common sense and get yourself up there safely.
Yeah. Now, when you hit that bump in the halfway, do you feel that, or is it not really an
No,
issue?
you hardly feel the transition at all. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, LaPointe Skidoo 800Rs in the house. He's got a sled deck on his truck, and it's lifted. Yeah. So so he'll probably have some comments on that. LaPointe, he wants to Sled 519 wants to know how to have a sled deck and not become a viral YouTube sensation, social media sensation. So help him out there. Yeah, that's good. Well, and that's thing that truck is leveled or lifted, and it's got low profile tires, so it might even be a little bit higher than stock. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Love that shot from the drone.
Yeah, that was a cool shot.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Again, the sleds look like they're hanging out over the back too far on that one too, aren't they?
Yeah. I should get him to resend me those pictures now that he's got his extension. So
yeah, you should. Oh, so that's the same guy, is it?
Yeah, that's the same guys. Yeah.
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, look at that shot there. You can really see it. Yeah. I'd be worried about, like, I've used super clamps, right? I love them.
Yeah.
Front and rear. I've got a pair in the front and a pair for the rear in my enclosed, but I don't think I'd trust them to hold skis from popping up.
No.
You know, to a certain degree. They are metal underneath the plastic, but still, I don't know.
Yep. It's just something that they were never designed for, right?
Yeah. And I see what you're saying about the suspension of the sled. You're going to be running full out, fully extended, locked, right? Like, That's knowing your, like what Bobby O was saying, knowing your vehicle, knowing what you're hauling, and making sure you take the right precautions. And it sounds like Marlon has the accessories to actually outfit your truck to make it as safe as possible.
You bet.
Yeah. Bobby O says, can you actually put the lift on there and put a kitty cat on the top of the roof of the truck? That might be a new product for you, right?
We do get asked, but we haven't quite gone that far yet.
Yeah. That would be custom. You know?
That would be custom. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So there's a nice little side-by-side on a deck. Now, that's a sled deck, or is that a side-by-side specific one?
Yep. So that's a sled deck. So that's an 8-foot deck with a 2-foot extension on it. So the overall length is 10 feet. And the reason why I sent you that picture is to show you that you can put a side-by-side up on the sled deck, no problem. As long as the length of the machine isn't longer than what have available for deck space. And that's a trail machine. So it's 50-inch wide segment. And that actually is loaded and unloaded just on our standard sled deck ramp. So you don't need anything special for the 50-inch series side-by-sides. The sled deck is designed to take it. In fact, we were doing some testing, and Bruce, the owner, took that home and loaded and unloaded in his front of his house in his, suburb 214 times or something like that, like legit over 200 times. And his neighbors kept coming out. Do you need some hand? Like, are you having a problem with that thing? Like, what's the issue? He's like, no, I'm just testing the ramp.
So he was going up, down, up, down.
Up, down.
Wow. That's pretty wild.
Well, we wanted to advertise that you could use it. And he says, well, we better be able to load a couple hundred times without any issue. So we measured deflection and everything, and everything just came back to the way it was supposed to be. So
cool. And you know what? That's more of a testament to the actual side-by-side being able to do that continuously.
Yep.
Another great shot. This is a dually Ford F-350. Nice.
Yeah.
Or is it a 450? I'm not sure.
I think that one actually is a 450. Yeah.
Yeah. That's sweet. Nice wheels on it too.
He sent a few more pictures of that. That's a pretty nice setup for sure.
Yeah. Very cool.
Well, and that kind of comes back to what we talked about earlier, Gary, with, safe, smart, and secure, and also sexy if you want to throw in another S there, because look at that, and you can imagine how much that truck cost, and then what he's done to the truck after he bought it. I mean, you want something that looks pretty darn good sitting on there, right?
Yeah. LaPointe said it's good if you're a young lad, but he doesn't like loading himself on big 35s. The incline is pretty pitched.
Yeah. Well, LaPointe, back to that. So that picture there, if you picture that 10-foot ramp, if you have a short box and then add another 2 feet on with our deck extension with our ramp extension to make it 12 feet, it reduces that ramp angle huge. So there's a lot of people that are pretty convinced after they put that 2-foot extension on there and see what it does to the ramp.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Corey Jenks says Nerona loves his Marlon deck.
Nerona.
Nerona's a great guy. He loves this show.
Nerona's my favorite.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And he does love Marlon, right?
I get to spend a lot of time with Dave. We've gone on a lot of adventures together.
Yeah, make sure you say hi to him for me, and have a what does he call the drink at the lodge? It's the
full throttle.
The full throttle. Have a full throttle with him. Yeah,
absolutely. You can't go to Grizzly without having a few.
No, exactly. Bobby O says, yeah, I seen Nerona on one of their videos. I'm sure he's been more than one.
You should have been all caps on the one there.
Yeah, that's right. that was sarcasm at its best,
That's right.
No, he's a good guy. He's been on the show every season. I think he was on twice this year, actually. He loves it. He loves being on the show.
When you sent me the email, Gary, and it said if you want to add a guest on, you could add someone. I thought, maybe I'll spring Dave on. Then I went, he's already got too much FaceTime on there already.
Yeah,
his head's getting too big already being on this. So
yeah. Well, I had the actual reverse comment that Marlon Deck's coming on, and they said, "Who's the co-host tonight?" And I said, "No, I don't think I'm going to have a co-host." And they go, "Good. I'm glad it's not Nerona." And I went, just for saying that, I'm going to reach out to Nerona, my buddy, and get him on here. I love him.
He'd laugh his head off, so it'll be awesome.
I really do like the guy. He's awesome. So, yeah, good. Throwing Sparks says, good selling point to tell your wife the truck needs a new airbag suspension.
There you go. Yep, that works too.
So Avalanche Canada, that's an association that uses your product, is it?
Yeah, that's a company. Well, Avalanche Canada is based out here. It's fairly local to us, and we got them hooked up a couple years ago with the deck, and now they run them on all their trucks. And their Avitechs need to get around. They go around and check snowpacks in all different riding areas, hold clinics, and do all sorts of stuff. So, it was a real bonus to kind of have them come to us. This, as in their eyes, kind of the industry leader, and working with a company that was local. So it's been a great working relationship with them for sure.
Yeah, actually, there's a comment from Keith. He says they should incorporate a lift in the front of the deck. It would be a better incline. Do you think you need that, Brett?
Keith, we've had that question before as far as how do you reduce it? And it comes down to, me, I'm sounding like a broken record saying once you load and unload, I'll say the max 3 times. Everybody that has some hesitation about loading comes back and says, you know what, that's 10 times easier than I ever thought it would be. So no, it's really not necessary. And again, it goes back to the, if you're not comfortable with the length of the ramp that you have and the angle, that 2-foot extension changes that whole perspective a lot and keeps you safe. And then once you're up on there and you, like I said, after the second or third time, everybody comes back and says, you know what, this is a piece of cake. So yeah, it's valid.
It's less moving parts on the deck part of your truck too. Like like you said, you've got that sealed and once it's bolted in place, it's there. It's
for sure.
A lot less can go wrong in it. So I think that's a key thing. LaPointe says he likes that extension that you showed in that picture.
Cool.
So
good.
Reach out to Brett there at Marlon Products there, and he'll tell you where to go.
Absolutely.
For that extension. But and there you go. I love this old Ford Explorer. That's awesome.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. And that's that's not just a prop. That guy uses that truck. That's his sled truck.
Yeah, like you see a lot, even Muskoka Freerider with that old beast he has as well, right? So there's no real limitation to the age of your truck that like your product fits in them all.
Yep, you bet.
What about El Caminos,
I think we're back to the single loaders, but I'm not 100% sure.
Dodge Rampage.
Yeah, that's right.
Honda Ridgeline. What about that Santa Cruz from Kia?
I actually there's a fella at our golf course that just has a brand new one, and I was there the other day looking at it, and I'm like, it was locked up, and Daryl was actually on the course, or I was going to grab my tape measure and take some measurements because I honestly think he could use a single loader in there. So I'm going to figure it out.
You might be able to. It might be Subaru Brat. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be awesome, but you'd have to take the seats out of the back for the Brat.
Yeah.
No, that'd be cool. I don't know how much suspension weight you could put in the back of a Cruise, but wouldn't that be awesome? There's actually a commercial on TV where they're showing the Cruise pulling a trailer with a sled in the back.
Yeah, that's right.
So maybe they'd be able to do it. That'd be a cool little photo op for you there.
It would.
Not as cool as this. This 250 is sweet. It's like a 70. It's like a 72 or 73. Man, that's nice.
Yeah.
Do you know the person that owns this?
I don't know. Tyler, one of our sales guys, Tyler does. Sorry, I call it one of our sales guys. He's our actually VP now. He knows the dealer that sold the deck and knows the guy that owns it. So.
Yeah, nice. Mm-hmm. I like that. This is a newer one. I like the old one better, the old Ford.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Gary. That's mine. Yeah.
This is your truck here?
Yeah, that's me.
Nice. And look there you go. All the chickens that didn't like the overhang of the sled. This is what the product marketing guy has. And there's 6 inches if a foot,
That's right.
This is setting the example. This is the way it should be traveled.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. So is that a turbo, or are you running a turbo now?
Yep.
Yeah. How do you like that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off there.
Yeah, it's the expert package in the 850R. Yep.
Oh, nice. And I heard the new turbo from Nerona just loves to eat.
Oh, that thing is nasty. It's a weapon. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, that's a game changer for sure.
Yeah.
That's so much fun to ride.
Yeah, that's cool. What do you think of the new trail sled they come out with? That's an 850 turbo.
Oh man, you guys are gonna have a blast.
I know, isn't it crazy?
Nuts.
They got a liquid cooler water injection system on the back.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
It's BRP's tech is it's kind of second to none for sure. But that sled is going to be unreal for you guys for sure.
Oh yeah. I can't wait to see it. It's just talk about dropping the mic. But
yeah,
beautiful truck you got there. I was only kidding. At least you're gonna make it to. You're gonna make it to the mountain where the guy on the 73s might.
There you go. Yeah, I make it there comfortably though. I don't mind my heated seats and my steering wheel, and
he might have you hold the flap and the 4-barrel open while he tries to start it. But you'll be there. This is what I've seen this a vehicle like this. There's a guy in Air that actually has one in my hometown with this Marlon on the back of it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So and he tows a trailer with his Harley in it, and they go down to Vegas or whatever, some place far away, and goes for a rip. So yeah, that's wicked when you see a bus like that on the top of a truck. Yeah.
Yeah, I can guarantee you turn a lot of heads when you pull in up to a traffic light.
Yeah. And you're saying that wouldn't be tippy, or would it have, would it give you a little bit more lean?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because there's a couple of things to come into play there. Number one, so that's on a 1-ton, so it's on a 350 stock. It's stock. There's actually airbags on that truck, but there's no air in the bags on that time. Bruce does some other stuff with that truck, so there was no air in it, I believe. And so it's a sled deck with a riser on it again, and then the 4-door max on there. So wet weight on that will be probably 2,300 pounds or something like that. And one of the cool things, if you can see on the picture, one of the things that's unique to our side-by-side deck and our riser is the tire tie downs that we use. So instead of tying down the frame of the side-by-side to the deck, so tethering it down and preloading the suspension, we use, I kind of got that idea, stole it from a tow truck. I was actually doing the testing of the side-by-side deck, and I pulled up to a stoplight, and a flatbed tow truck drove by me with a car on it, and he had the tire straps on it, and I looked at it, and I was kind of like, huh. So I went and did my loop that I was doing this little mountain, the road that went up through the mountains outside of Chilliwack, and was testing a couple things. And I come back and I kind of jerry-rigged some straps to go over the tires, and I went back and I did the same loop, and I put my GoPro up on, and I videoed both trips. So the one with the suspension preloaded, and then the one where we just tied down the tires. And the visual difference was it was the tail of the tape, because the machine was up there doing this with the tire tie downs, and I was feeling nothing in the truck, like to the point where I was looking in my mirrors and going like, do I still have this thing on? Because something feels drastically different. So what we realized very quickly was when you preload the suspension on the machine and you're going down the road and you hit uneven roads, frosties, potholes, whatever, and whatever weight transfer from that machine when it's tied down goes through the deck into the truck, then you felt a lot of body roll and a lot of shift and a lot of, you feel it on the brakes, stopping and everything else. But as soon as we went to the tire tie downs and tie down and let the suspension of the machine do its own thing, and you're going down the road, the machine's doing this and the deck is just flat. Machine's going like this, and you're like, whoa, okay, we're onto something here. So then we designed our own tire tie down system and a whole way of tying it down like that, and that's all we use, and it works fantastic.
That's awesome. What kind of not liabilities but legal testing do you got to do, or certifications? Is there certifications that are involved in coming out with a product like that?
Yep. So whatever you're gonna weight rate it for. So those are the side-by-side deck and the risers and the sled decks are all rated for 2,850 pounds. So then there's a safety factor that we have to work into off of when we're doing our FEA testing. And that's what we actually bump it up so that we don't ever run the minimum on any of our safety testing. We're much more than what it is. But then we downgrade the rating as to what we want it to be again, back into the safe side of things. The last thing we want is somebody to have an accident with it. So, yeah.
Who sets those values? Is it the ministry, or is it something that you guys create the bar and set that bar?
There's no real regs that you're going to pull from anywhere. We've looked. So we rate, again, we go back to what the truck ratings are and then kind of work backwards from there and figure out what the machine's ratings are, and then go by that and go, okay, well, if this truck is capable of carrying this machine plus the deck plus the passengers, roughly this is where we're going to be at. Okay, this is where we need to be, and that's add our safety factor in, and then we work backwards from that. So,
yeah, nice. Well, it sounds like you guys have really thought of it all, right? Like it's not like you're just pushing this out there. You want people to have that good experience and make it to the hill.
Well, and we want to be in business tomorrow also, to be totally honest. And we have a lot of exposure. I mean, we have a big presence in the US, and we have a presence worldwide with our distributors. So, you can get stuff thrown at you from all directions, and we have to make sure that we're covered. So we take it very seriously. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And as far as the social media goes, and where can people follow you online if they want to know more information about your products and services?
Yeah, it's our website is marlonproducts.com, and then our social media on Instagram is marlon_products, and then on Facebook it's Marlon Products. So you can find us pretty easily on any avenue, and all things kind of lead back to us. I mean, we are a company that prides ourselves on customer service big time, and I can't even tell you how many phone calls I pick every day from customers just calling. Their salesperson or their dealer wasn't quite sure, so they looked up our website, found our number, and somebody's directed them to me on a specific question or a product. Just the other day, we had a really nice gentleman from Ontario called up and said, "Hey, Brad, I've come up with a new idea for carrying ramps in your truck. If you don't have a sled deck and you don't have a single loader, you bought a set of ramps from Canadian Tire or from somewhere. Where do you put them? You load your quad up or your sled up, and you got to lean them up against the side, but it's going to bang off the side of your machine or the box of your truck." He come up with a way of carrying them, which I thought was super slick. And he said, "Would you guys be interested?" And I said, "Absolutely." And I take those calls all the time with people that have products. We'd love to partner up with people if they got something that's cool and innovative, and we can come up with it. Because that is one of our things is the products we like to come up with. We like to be fairly specific to us. We like things that are unique, but are have our own Marlon spin on them. So we try and fit as much user value into the product as usable. Example being the multi-trailer. Our John boats, for instance, back to the boats, they're the widest John boats in the industry. Stability, carrying capacity, all that stuff. So there's a couple of things, you got boxes that have to be ticked, but we're always willing and open to taking a look for sure.
Yeah, cool. Well, I know every time I phoned, it's been instantly reception answers, and you answered right off the bat. It was really good. No voicemail jail there. That's for sure. I love that.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if you call me and there's 3 feet of fresh up there, you're probably getting my voicemail.
Yeah, if there's 3 feet of fresh here, you won't be hearing from me.
Exactly. So the feeling is mutual. It's a two-way street.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, Marlon certainly makes it a lot easier getting into spots for deep snow than a regular trailer. That's what Greg Kelly says. It's true, right? Because you can't be back in your trailer in tight spaces. And is that why they're so popular out west, is because your parking is limited?
I think that's why it probably started out here so much is we do a lot of the riding areas. There's a lot of logging road access only to the places that we ride. And they're just, there's pullouts to pass logging trucks and stuff, but that's about it. So having a trailer up some single lane logging road and trying to get turned around at the top, you literally cannot do it. Or you see the guys, unload their sleds, unhook a trailer, spin it around, turn the truck, hook up the trailer, and get pointed downhill for when they come home. That's a pain in the butt. Whereas, the guy behind him is pissed off because he's got a sled deck and he's telling the guy to get the hell out of the way because he wants to get going, kind of thing. So it definitely comes from that. So
yeah, good point. LaPointe Ski 800R says, what type of lubricant do you use on the aluminum?
Lubricant on the aluminum. If you're asking about the slide points on the sled deck, which I think you are, the best way to do it, and it's kind of a maintenance thing that I filled it out. I'm not sure if it's on our website, but if it's not, it's going to go up there. So a spring and fall maintenance that's really good for our slide points on the sled deck is pull the slides out, wash them up the best as you can with a pressure washer or a car washer or whatever. Wipe them down with brake clean. So don't spray it directly on them. Spray it on a rag because brake clean on paint is not good. You don't want to get it on your truck. So wipe the slide points down really, really good, and then spray them with dry graphite spray. So you can pick either one of those products up at most auto parts stores. and let the dry graphites dry on there. It only takes a couple of minutes, and then they'll actually slide better than they were brand new. So it's a very good maintenance program. So
great tip. Great tip. What's the story with this photo we're looking at here?
Yeah, just first tracks in the morning. You know, you always got to be showing off to your buddies when they can't keep up to you. You got to take a picture so you can show them later and like, hey, where were you?
Yeah, that's right.
Honestly, I think this is in Revy somewhere. And I think I'm a scenery guy. I don't take a lot of picture of guys doing crazy things on their sled. I probably should do more, but I'm more about the scenery. I could have sent you a million pictures of, you know, trees and mountains and snow and stuff, but I cut it off kind of short for you. But I don't know. I just love those pictures of snow in the trees. That's what gets me going. So.
Oh yeah, it's so cool. Even here in the trails, when you get snow in the trees like that, it's awesome.
Yeah.
The snow ghosts. There's the after picture of that scene right there.
I knew I had that picture actually. So that was kind of, I figured it was still in the roll there somewhere, but yeah, that was 6 minutes after I took the picture.
Oh my God. There isn't a foot of snow that's not covered there. Yeah. That's wild. How long would you spend of the day of the ride in this location? Would that be the whole day?
It probably to some degree kind of depends on the depth and the quality of the snow there. So if that looks like some of the pictures, like it was pretty good. So I think that day there was 4 of us, and we'd be in there for a couple hours, hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, and then we'd move on to the next bowl kind of thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And do you typically, like you see on YouTube kind of thing, you like ride all day and go back in the dark, or are you trying to get home before the sun sets?
Yeah, most of our areas that we ride, if we get out early enough, you try and get back when there's some light for sure. There's nothing good happens in the mountains when it's dark. It always seems to, when things are going to go wrong, it's when it's dark, and then it's just a struggle from there. So I've been caught out a few times, and it's no fun. So we definitely try and get the majority of the way back to the truck before it gets too dark. So.
Oh, absolutely. Now, do you have the big gauge on your turbo, or did you just get the standard gauge? Yeah, you do. That's nice, huh?
Oh man, I have a testimony for that gauge. Like, I know some people struggle with it, with the connecting and disconnecting and stuff, but we were in Whistler. We were up in Brandywine pretty early season with some guys that took them back into a new zone that they'd never been to. And we got up top of this area called the Gauntlet. Well, we ran up the Gauntlet. We had to sit at the top and wait for the clouds to clear. The forecast said about 11, so about 11:10, the clouds cleared, like the skies opened up. It was Bluebird and Epic, but the forecast also said that was returning at around 2:30. So I said to the guys, okay, we're going back in here. We'll get to the zone. We'll rip it up for a couple hours. And then when I tell you that we're leaving, we're leaving. Like, when I say we're going, I don't want 15 minutes of finding you stuck somewhere in a tree well or whatever. Like, let's go, because we're going to get socked in here again. So of course they're my buddies, and they're going to ride till they want to stop riding. So at 3:45, we start leaving. We get to the top of the glacier, and it is soup. And I mean, I can't see my ski tips hardly. That's how much soup it is. So organize the guys. Okay, we're going single file, and I'll go and I set the GPS, and I got to correct myself. My buddy, my salesman at GDP, Lars set his machine, and he said my map worked perfectly. So I jumped on his sled, and he rode my sled, and I followed that track out for about 40 minutes, which should have taken us 10 minutes on the glacier. It took us about 40 minutes, and they were literally skis touching snow flaps. And I was looking one eye on the 10.5-inch screen and one eye on the tracks coming in, so I could just see the break in the snow to make sure that I was on it. And that thing, when I was 2 or 3 feet off a line, like it was green, 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 off a little bit, yellow, 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 and the further off it changed, and then I went back green, 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 and it dropped us right back into Grizzly Lake where we left. And the guys were like, they couldn't believe how great that thing worked. I mean, we've used other GPS, and we all carry sat phones and GPS standalones as well. But it's one thing to have a GPS in your hand and try and run your machine and look. But having that screen right there, I mean, I couldn't say enough about it. It was epic. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love it on my trail sled, that's for sure.
Yeah. And once they get it dialed in with the ride share program and the buddy system, and I think pretty soon not going to have to be hooked up to your phone. That's going to be, Polaris's program is phenomenal, and I'm sure Skidoo is going to get to there. So
yeah, they will. Yeah. It sounds like they're there. They almost launched it at Club, but they have still a bit of work to do on it. But and that's the thing. My phone jack is screwed, so it's not really. I found it's not the Sled, and I'm not sure if it's because it's being plugged in like this all the time and it's shaking that's loosened off my connector, or what, because I've ran this for years in a homemade phone holder that I did, and as well as in my 7.8 inch, now my 10.25 inch, and I'm not sure if just the vibrations is causing that, or my phone's an XR, so it's not the newest either. So but whenever I have connectivity issues, I just reach in there, unplug it, plug it back in or whatever. Usually it comes up with the icon, you just have to tap it and it reloads it. So not a big deal.
Even the simplest fact of some of my buddies were having a hard time with it, and then we realized that as long as you switch over to the actual iPhone connect wire, then it was night and day the difference. So it worked really well.
Yeah, because some of the ones you buy at the gas station are charge only. They don't have a data port to it. And I hear that's the thing with the Skidoo gauge. You need data transfer as well. Yes. Right? Or you need that data, with the charging. So that's the thing. It's when it works, it's amazing. I mean, everybody says it too. So highly recommend it. So must be 6 feet of snow in that pic with Brett.
That was a pretty deep day. I'm not going to lie. That was a pretty fun day. Absolutely.
Yeah, that is wild.
That's a downhill stuck day there. So
yeah, that's a tough day in the office. Telling
that's
you.
Right.
Yeah. There, you're promoting your old company there.
So I'd love to tell you that this picture is me and my wife, but it's not. It's me and my buddy doing a little bromance on the top of Turbo in Revelstoke, just for shits and giggles.
Right. Yeah. Right on.
So if you look between us there in the background, there's some cloud cover down there, but that's Three Valley Gap. So the Turbo is kind of one of the highest points off of Boulder Mountain. It's a pretty famous hill climb back in the day when there was hill climb competitions and stuff. So yeah, it's now just to the left of me. I made sure I didn't put them in there, but the Heliski landing pad is to the left of me there. So I just wanted to make sure that there was no one seeing that. But anyways, it's
cool.
all good.
Are you not supposed to be hanging out near the heli?
No, it's totally fine. That's a dual user total 100%.
Is it? Okay, perfect. See, I wouldn't know any better anyway. So
yeah, I just plead ignorance, right?
Yeah, exactly. Most of my fans probably wouldn't either, but then a lot of the Western guys would, Yeah. But this looks like a crazy crew here.
Yeah, that was a trip to Revy last year. So yeah, Colby and JFC in the background. The guy to my right, looking at the screen, is Jose. That's our distributor out of Chile. Cool. So he was over. He comes over and usually comes over for a couple weeks in December and rides in Sycamoose. And then he comes back in March for a couple of weeks and rides and has a great time. And he does a guide tour program in Chile, and he's our Marlon distributor there. So we're actually just in the process of doing the logistics of doing a trip over there in late July, early August. We're going to go for a week and go ride. They're South America, so they're 6 months off us. So they're good pound months are June, July, August. So we're going to head over there and go for a rip. So.
Well, I seen that Skidoo video they had out last summer, and it was like, wow, who'd ever thought you could ride like that in Chile?
Yeah, they get some epic, like it's and where Jose's riding area is his tenure. There's four mountain ranges. Well, not mountain ranges. It's all the Andes, but there's 4 active volcanoes in his tenure. So you can ride. You can ride straight. He has a one shot that's 20,000 vertical feet to the top. It's about an 8-minute pull, like full throttle straight up to get to the top of this thing. And I guess you just pray that your belt stays together. And then you're literally looking over into the side of an active volcano. So it's pretty awesome.
That is wild.
Yeah, should be
I
pretty
love
cool.
that. So is it a big snowmobile community there, or is it some guy selling Marlon sled decks is like an alien?
I think it kind of started out that way a few years ago. There's like Chris Brandt goes down there. Chris is another one of our ambassadors, and Chris has been going down there for a few years with another fellow that is a buddy of Jose's, and they kind of started the whole thing going. There was already a bit of a contingent of riders there, but it's a third world country, so there's not a lot of middle class there. So there's a certain amount of people that can afford sleds, and they're pretty heavy on their duties for as far as importing things to the country. So it's kind of like 25% on everything. So if you want a nice truck, it's 25% on top of it. You want a sled, it's 25% on top of it. It's all American dollars. So it does get pretty expensive there. So these guys like Jose and the other fellow there that have started the rental idea, the rental companies and the guided tours, that's kind of been the ticket, because people can afford to go out and do it for a couple of days here and there and not have to own, right? So that's kind of their niche. And they're getting they have a lot of international travel that comes there now to Sled. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
So per se, they're not probably really selling sled decks. They're just using the product. Is that
no? He does. Jose puts his order in every year, and in fact, we just finished taking it down to the container. He sends a container out of. He buys his sleds here, and he sends them over, and then he puts his product in that 40-foot container as well. So. He's not big volume at this point, but he's working the right direction. This particular time, he took a bunch of our multi-trailers, and he kind of feels because it's a little harder for people to get a 1-ton truck over there or a 3/4 ton, pulling a trailer is pretty acceptable there. So he's going to try the trailer market, and he's done good with the decks and really good with the single loaders, but he's hoping that the trailer market's going to really kick in for him too. So
that's cool. And then there'll be multi-use for that as well then, right?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's cool. There's another load of what are these that we're looking at? Trailers, actually, right?
Yeah, I think there's decks on the front there, and then there's boat trailers on the back. There's one of our new I-beam trailers on the bottom as a tow stack, and then there's some other boat trailers on top of it. So yeah, when we ship, we maximize what we got. We got deck space, and we got tow stacks, and we got stuff up over the heady crack. So we try and keep the shipping as cheap as we can for our dealers. So yeah, it's good.
That's neat. How far would that truck go? Does it come right out east? Does it, or is that
no? We typically, if that's out of I think that's one of the trucks out of our Washington branch. They'll go into Montana, and then we have a distributor in Minnesota, so that kind of looks after the Midwest, and then we have a distributor in Boston that kind of looks after the East Coast, and then for the Canadian side, then we have our branch that we go Edmonton, Winnipeg. That kind of looks across, and then Diversco to Cambridge kind of looks after Ontario, Quebec, and then Atlantic Canada as well. So
nice.
Yeah. More decks. Yeah. We move a lot of decks in the fall.
That's cool. Huge trailer that are stacked on there. What is your season is now? Like the dealers are ordering your product, and then you spend the summer making them, and then the fall it's all shipped to the cows come home kind of thing.
Funny you should ask that. Our sled deck booking program ended today with our dealers, so they've got their orders in, and then we'll start delivering in August and September, and try to have everything on the ground latest kind of early October. So
right on. And you're all out of the supply chain problems, like there's no issues with product or accessories and that type of thing.
Yeah, you betcha. No, we're full throttle. Yeah, you bet.
That's great. Awesome. Here you are brapping there too in the mountains again, powder. Yep.
That's actually a picture from Grizzly Lodge. So anybody that's a little plug-in for Adam and the guys at Grizzly or the crew at Grizzly, if you're coming out west and you want to spend the money, then go to Grizzly. You won't be disappointed. There's no doubt about that.
We had them on the show. They were amazing. Great guys.
Yeah,
I met them at the Toronto show, and we had a hoot. We laughed and yeah. So that was a fun show.
That was the one real bonus of COVID. If you want to look at it that way, because a lot of the American guys couldn't come up, or American riders couldn't come up. So there was a lot of empty spots in their calendars. So Me and a few buddies got up there way more than we ever did the last few years, which was fantastic. Because it's if you're not booking 2 years in advance there, you're not getting in.
No, that's what he said, right? It's pretty cool. But Nerona seems to get in every year. I don't get that.
That little dude gets in anywhere. Like, he's got the golden key to the city, so he gets to go where he wants.
That's right. Yeah.
We always bring him along. There's nothing like the stand-up comedy of Dave Nerona. So
no, he's a hoot, man. I love that guy. Yeah. So that's the sled deck that we're looking at. So those aluminum things below the deck, that's what sits in the box of your truck, is it?
Correct. Yep, that's the legs. You bet.
So they're not different heights. Like every like Chevy's not different height than a Ford, or all the manufacturers keep them standard, do they?
No, they're all different. So our legs are a standard height at 21 inches. And then we adjust. So the leg comes down, and you don't see it in this picture, but the leg actually sits in a shoe. And that shoe has 5 millimeter shims in it on all 4 corners. So that 5 millimeters gives you, like, it's 25 millimeters. So it's an inch. So every truck is within 20 to 22 inches. So those 5 shims, you can add or subtract however you need to bring it down to the height of the truck that you want. So.
Oh, that's a clever idea. That's amazing.
Yeah, it works well.
And very heavy duty.
The shoe also gives a big imprint, a big footprint to carry the weight. So that's, when Ford switched to the aluminum boxes and everybody was freaking out about how tough are they and blah, blah, blah. That footprint, it disperses the weight very nicely because of the square inches that we have on the ground. So.
Yeah. Well, how much weight can one of those decks hold?
2,850 pounds.
Wow, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no issue with a couple sleds or a side-by-side or anything like that on them. It's
no,
they're heavy duty.
Yeah, you bet.
You can tell I didn't put these in any order. They just randomly show up. So
yeah, neither did I.
Probably the same day as the last one. Yeah.
Yeah,
the turbo wheelies.
That's what a G5 likes to do.
Yeah, I bet, right? The turbo really likes to wheelie, does it?
Yeah, it sure does, especially in party mode.
Yeah. Do you have the adjustable limiter strap on it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that where the party mode comes in? You just flip that down so it's right off. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. We actually have stickers. We have stickers that we put stickers over top of the factory stickers, and it actually says party mode on there.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
There we go. That was all the pictures that we had. Thanks for sending those in. That was great.
Yeah, you betcha.
A lot of fun. So if anyone has any questions, fire them up in the chat there. But again, marlonproducts.com, and also check out Marlon on Instagram and Facebook and any other social media. YouTube, it sounds like you've got some videos on YouTube, and make sure you follow them. And if you have any questions, reach out to Marlon. Somebody will answer you right away for sure.
You bet.
Renegade X says, great show. Thanks, Brett and Gary. Excellent info. And he's going to bed.
Well, I'm just going to have some supper, and you guys are going to bed. What the heck?
Yeah. Oh, no kidding, for sure. But no, I appreciate your time tonight as well. I won't keep you much longer. Did you have anything else to add to your products? Was there anything we didn't touch on tonight that you wish you did?
No, I think we did touch on everything. I appreciate the time and the opportunity, and hopefully answered a few questions, and just direct people to the website. And like I said, we do pride ourselves on customer service. So if you pick up the phone, somebody's going to answer for you. And if they don't, somebody will get back to you pretty darn quick.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you. I'll actually put the website and the social channels in the description of this video, and it'll be live on podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts tomorrow. And I thank you for your time tonight, Brett. That was awesome. I learned a lot, and it makes me want to get a single loader even more now.
Well, let's talk. We need to get you one for sure.
Oh, for sure. Well, hey, yeah, but that's very cool. I again, thank you. You're instantly loved to be on the show, and we got you on. I'm glad we did, and we'll be chatting for sure. So if you want to hang around and chat after I roll the credits, I'll just run the credits and away we go. But thanks everybody for watching. Make sure you got 1 week left for the Energy Power Sports spring check. So get in there if you're on the fence about getting a new snowmobile, new ski-doo. Make sure you give them a call and see what they have left on order. I know the Smart Shocks and big screens were limited quantities, and make sure you get them if you want to get in line. Have a good night, guys.
It's a journey for